real as possible. So guards had well-fitting uniforms, whereas the inmates had loose, faded, ill-fitting uniforms. And then they divided. They said, okay, you guys are guards and you guys are inmates. Just that classification, it started impacting the behavior of the students, of the participants. The guards, they started humiliating. They started abusing the inmates. And inmates, they became quite docile. They started accepting that behavior. Some of them even had a mental breakdown. So the behavior of all involved became so extreme that an experiment which was supposed to last for 2 weeks had to abolish in 6 days. So which led Dr. Zimbardo to make the famous statement, outside circumstances, that under the right conditions, good people can be induced, seduced, and initiated to act unethically. So this was just one experiment. It does not, just establish the fact, but I thought it was an interesting experiment. And when I look at the professional world, I see that. Why the reason I named this session, we need to talk about ethics, because very often when we step out in the professional world, we are all very good people. I'm sure all of us in this room are good, ethical people. But when you are out there, you have multiple demands on your time. You have to keep the bosses happy, think of the next promotion, think of performance metrics, keep the clients happy. And very often under these pressures, it's easy to fail to appreciate the finer nuances of ethical dilemmas when we are confronted with them. And believe me, we are confronted with them with amazing regularity every single day in our professional life. And some of our behavior can be driven by things like obedience to authority, because the boss said do it. I might be a very ethical person, but boss is saying, how do I say no? It might be taking cues from our peer group, because others are doing it, it might be right. Again, situational influences. It might be wanting to follow the group behavior. If the group is taking a decision, it's a smart group, that must be the right thing to do. It could also be, and which is my favorite one, overconfidence in our own ability to do the right thing. Because we all feel I used to believe I am more honest and upright than people around me, and I am capable of taking better decisions. But somehow in that quagmire of professional life, when so much is happening around you, it's very easy to lose sight of those nuances that are confronting you. So, like I said, we often make unethical decisions not because we are bad people, but because psychological biases and other factors and situational influences affect our decision making. So the goal, why we need to talk about ethics, is to encourage participants to become more, at the end of the day, ethical behavior is all about being mindful, being aware of what's going on around you, being able to deliberate and arrive at a course of action. It's a lot of shade of grays. What might be ethical, what might be right for you may not be right for me, or what I feel is good, you might not feel is good. The idea is to be aware of the choices that you are making, the consequences of those choices. So we encourage participants to become more conscious about their behavior so that they are more likely to notice and act upon ethical issues before they become a problem. It's also to realize that these ethical dilemmas are a normal part of most jobs. And what I do in these trainings is I also discuss with my participants approaches for dealing with these issues. Good ethics is very good for business as well. Businesses have to realize that having a culture that fosters ethical environment will lead to growth in their business. They build a positive reputation for companies, which is integral to business success. Here is the good part, here is the positive note on all this, that professional ethics can be fortified with exposure to great organizational culture and regular trainings, talks like this. So it's not that it's something you are born with. You can fortify your ethical culture. And I think the best way I can sum it up, and I always tell my participants this, what Warren Buffett said. Think about whether you are willing to have any contemplated act appear the next day on the front page of your local newspaper, to be read by your spouse, your partner, your children, your friends, with the reporting done by an informed and critical reporter. I tell my participants nowadays, think of it as a YouTube video, made on your behavior and going viral. Are you okay to live with that? If you're okay, go ahead and do it. But if you think you are not okay with your partners, with your children, with your friends watching it, do think about it. So I remember it was last July, we were talking about monsoons. Monsoons in Mumbai can be very, very heavy. June, July, August are really bad months. And I was giving a lecture at one of the institutes in Pune. It was a Saturday morning. I got up and it was pouring. It was pouring. My niece, she studies in New York at Columbia University, and she had come to spend some time with me. So when I left in the morning, and she was like, "Are you sure you should be going today?" And I'm like, "No, I want to go." So normally Mumbai-Pune is 3 to 3.5 hours. That day it took me a good 4.5 hours each way. So 4.5 hours to Pune, 4.5 hours to coming back, 9 hours. 3 hours I took to conduct that workshop, and since for students I do it on a voluntary basis, it's no transaction, no monetary transaction involved over there. So I finished that, I came back home, and it was quite late, and so my niece made me a nice cup of tea, and we sat down. It was still pouring, and she's saying, "Sonia, I got to ask you, look at this day, it's a Saturday, it's been pouring, you spent 12 hours, you went all the way to Pune, you talked about ethics to those students. This is not something you are even charging the university for. You just went and you spoke about it because you are so passionate. Why did you do it?" And it got me thinking. I'm like, why do I do it? And then I told her, I said, I had around 45 students in my class today. If even one of them, I hope many more, but even one of them, when in their professional life, when they are confronted with an ethical dilemma, if they take time to think about what they learned today and let their actions be guided by the learnings of today, that would be my reward. That's why I do it. That's why I talk about ethics. Thank you.
Wow, that was wonderful. I'm glad I'm here today as a volunteer or even as a participant in the session. One of these programs that I'd gone to, the question they asked was, if Jesus was watching you, what would you do? Well, it could be Jesus, it could be Krishna, it could be Allah, but what would you do? Would you behave in this fashion? Very interesting. It's always a dilemma. Is it right? Is it legal? Is it ethical? And now I'll call upon Sarah Ross to take over.
So my name is Sarah Ross. I own a company called Empowering Compliance, talking to companies about making ethical decisions and making the right decision in difficult circumstances. So as a compliance officer in a business, you invariably get that call. We have a problem. Can you come to the legal counsel's office? And I've had it both in-house, but also when I've been working with clients, and you get these calls and you're like, what have they done now? And you know nothing, because they've not involved you in any processes or anything that happened up to the point that that call happens. And so I walk into the office and they say, we have a van, a lorry, stuck in an ISIS-held village in Iraq. They are asking for money for safe delivery of the lorry through the village. Can we pay them? And my stomach drops. And you go through all your training. You go through the questions similar to the ones Sonia brought up. Is it legal? Is it right? And ISIS, thank goodness, are not considered to be government officials. So you can, from paperwork or from the paper trail, say, okay, it's legal to pay for somebody to get out of the village. But when you have asked the question whether their life is in danger in order to make that decision, it's very difficult to then go back and say, is it legal? You would pay to keep your employee safe, and afterwards you would figure out how to do the paperwork. But that decision should never have got to, we have a problem. Because the decisions made much further down the line had already made it unethical. We took the quickest route through the village. We took the quickest and cheapest route to get our product to market. And that meant going through a known terrorist stronghold. Now, if we could have taken a route to avoid that village, A, we would never have put that poor lorry driver in that situation, but we would also never have had to question whether it was ethical. We would have been doing the right thing from the word go. And as a compliance officer, if I had been in that discussion with the map, we would have taken a big black marker and marked every territory we couldn't drive through, and then found a route that avoided all of them. And so, for me, ethics isn't just what you say or what you do, like you brought up. It's who you are. It's where does your moral compass sit? When it's that gut feeling when something feels wrong. It's that email that arrives with a deal that's just too good to be true. And so I ask you, again, how ethical are you? Have you ever bribed somebody? Now, I don't expect anyone to raise their hands. But let me rephrase the question. How many of you are parents? How many of you are grandparents? And how many of you have ever bribed yourself? My favourite with my niece and nephew, if you eat your broccoli, you can have an ice cream. My favourite for myself, if you go to the gym every day this week, you can drink on the weekend. And so, my point about this is, ethics isn't a dirty word. It's not something that should be hidden away. It's not Lord Voldemort. We're not Harry Potter. You know, we should be talking about it. It should be okay to have these discussions. And it should be something that can be discussed without it being on the headlines. We're very quick to have a discussion about what's right or wrong once it's on CNN, the BBC, Fox News. And then 10 years ago, a little girl disappears from her parents' holiday apartment in Portugal. And everybody's in uproar. What were the parents thinking? What happened? Was it, did they do the right thing? And it's very easy to stand back from that situation. You're not emotionally involved and say, they neglected her, they did something wrong. I mean, even now, 10 years later, they killed her. Something happened and the body will never be found. But it still happens. We still have these conversations. I take you back to the Oscars this year. In 2.5 minutes, PwC's reputation, so PricewaterhouseCoopers' reputation, disappeared down the plug hole because 2 of their employees didn't do the right thing. Within 2 seconds of Warren Beatty announcing the wrong film had won the Oscars, the PwC employees on both sides of the stage knew that there was a mistake. It took 2.5 minutes and 14 decision points for somebody to actually do the right thing and say there was a mistake. And the person who had to do that was the man who had just been announced that he had won the Oscar for the best film. The man who, quite frankly, had the most to lose by actually doing the right thing. And he was most gracious and made sure that when the TV producers didn't know what to do because it would look bad, or they didn't have a TV commercial to go to, that somebody actually said, this is what we have to do, and it was done. And I sat there and I was quite blown away by that man's graciousness. And it got me to thinking about when my own moral compass was tested. Now, I run a company who trying to teach people to do the right thing, make hard decisions in difficult situations, and yet on New Year's Eve 2014, I was volunteering in Vietnam at an orphanage. And they placed a 4-month-old baby girl in my arms. And she changed my world because I was depressed, I was burnt out. My plan was not to leave Vietnam, I was planning to end my life there. And suddenly in an instant, I had a reason to live. And I had never considered adoption up to that point. And suddenly that was my path. I was going to adopt this baby girl. And then you get into the world of adoption. And so I started the process in Switzerland where I live. I knew the process in Vietnam, and I knew it wasn't going to be easy. But then the obstacles start, and the questions start. If I were to adopt this baby girl, I had to go and live in Vietnam for a year, live and work. But in order to do that, I had to leave Switzerland for more than 6 months, which meant that not only would I lose the adoption certificate to even bring her home, I would lose my residency to even live there. And so the only option for me was to find a loophole, to find a way to make this condition disappear. And it took a lot of thinking, and eventually I booked the flight to go and see the lawyers in Vietnam to get my baby girl. And the meeting was booked. Everything was going. I had a sum in my mind that as long as they said less than this amount, that was fine. Even though it went against everything I teach, everything my business stands for. And the meeting never happened because baby Nui's name was pulled from a lottery and she was adopted by a Canadian family. Literally 2 days after I booked the flight to go to the lawyers. And whilst I still find it hard to know she's not in my life, there is a part of me that said the universe had my back. The universe didn't want me to have on the front page, ethical leadership consultant buys baby, which was pretty much what it had come down to. And so the reason I tell you the story is that when you are truly involved, when you are emotionally involved in the result, whether that's bribing an official to get what you want, driving sales targets because otherwise your family is going to be financially struggling, that's when we need to know that we can talk about ethics. That's when we need to know that somebody will listen to us and somebody will actually give us a chance to run through the pros and cons, will give us their opinion without judging us. And so, from my heart to yours, when it feels too good to be true, or when that gut feeling says, there's something wrong here, follow that gut feeling. And don't get yourself into unethical situations just because you think that's what somebody expects of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I was so moved. Thank you. So touching to hear that, and thank you for sharing it with us, your personal experience. It is true. When it comes to us, our behavior is different from when it comes to others. We sometimes are our harshest critics, and then there are times when we forgive ourselves very easily. We say, there was no other way. I had to do this. There is, in fact, a site called I Paid a Bribe in India. This was started as an anti-corruption movement. I don't know where it went, though. So let me now invite Bhavini to come over. Bhavini.
Thank you so much. Oh, it's so difficult to talk about ethics when I have people from university and people with degrees to talk about ethics. So I would like to talk about, I have no degree in ethics, and I have not studied ethics, but I have followed it. I am in business for the last 9 years, and I have situations wherein ethics crosses over efficiency, success, and determination. I had the first lesson in ethics when I was 15 years old, and I was writing my first very important exam of my life, which is 10th standard SSC board exam. It's a big deal in India. So that was my first important exam. When I was in the middle of my math paper, I saw the supervisor passing a textbook to one of the guys, and he was happily copying from it. Oh, that was my first experience with cheating and such unethical behavior, and I was very young. something inside me, pushed me to stand up and scream, and I did that. I knew I was going to waste my time because I had to write my paper too. The supervisor, because she was scared of being seen as a cheater, helping cheating, she took away my paper and she did not give it to me to write for 1 long hour. So I did not have the answer sheet to write my answers. So I was sitting there crying and almost guilty of having done that, having raised my voice against it. I should have just kept quiet and I should have written my paper. I was going to pay for it and I so much did because she returned my answer sheet after an hour. And so much, by that time I was so scared, shattered, because I had only attempted half of my paper. So all that was going on in my head was, why did I have to do this? Why did I have to pay for this? Because that was a very important exam of my life. And that is where ethics as a thing started for me. So I went home and it was great because I had my mom to talk to about this, and she was like, okay, so it's okay, whatever happened, happened. You have to think about if you are going to be able to look into your eyes when you look into the mirror. Don't think about you had to pay for it. Think about, are you proud of yourself for having done that? I said, no, I'm guilty right now. But maybe she brought me to face it, and from guilt to from being guilty about, from feeling guilty about it, I moved to being proud about standing up for it. So that was my first-hand experience of ethics. Then coming back to the business, there are a lot of times when you cross paths, when ethics and efficiency crosses paths. For example, my HR came to me and she said, oh, I have recruited this vibrant girl. She is so qualified to do this job, and you'll be amazed that I have saved 40% of the cost in recruiting her. She is ready to join us for less. We have a budget for each recruitment. So she was like, you will be happy. So I was going to add more value at a lesser cost. So it was amazing. But the question was it fair? As from a business point of view, I was adding value to my business, and that's what people do. You want to do cost cutting. It is not illegal, by the way, which is a new topic, a big topic in itself, whether it is illegal or legal or ethical. So there I was. We did recruit that girl at the pay that she deserved, but she was happy to work for less. So this is a very small example, but that's how it starts. So that's how it creates patterns. The way people look at me as leaders, it did speak about co-workers, how it happens, how you should manage it, how you should not follow somebody who does wrong. But as a leader, as a place wherein I have people around me looking up on me to take me as an example, I think I have to set an example. And even if it is not very unethical to recruit people as a lesser rate, I must not do that. And I decided to do that, and there's a pattern that will follow. But there's something else that happens in business. We try to not pay efficiency, not pay too much of attention to efficiency and not pay for efficiency. For example, I had 2 employees doing same task, similar tasks. One of them took entire day to finish that. And they are basically hourly paid jobs. And the other one came up to me. She's a very, very vibrant girl. She came up to me, our work done in 2 hours. And the question is, do I pay her for 2 hours or 8 hours? Because I'm going to pay the other one for 8 hours, who did the same job for me, but came back to me after 6 hours, after the first one came. So there is a cost involved in waiting. But still I usually end up paying the person who spent 8 hours on the job and not paying the person, I'm only paying for 2 hours to the person who is efficient. The quality of the work was the same. Today, a lot of times people don't pay for efficiency. If I have to send a quotation to my client, the company does web designing, and if I say I can turn it around in a week and it would cost you $5,000, she was like, $5,000 for a week's job? Yeah. But if I tell them that I can turn it around in maybe 20 days and then we'll run a trial and then we'll have a beta website up for 15 days, but that will cost you $6,500 and the entire process will last for a month. Oh, that sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Yeah? I would rather want to pay somebody $6,500 to be able to turn it around efficiently in 1 week rather than waiting for that website to go up, in a month. So this is a big issue, and I think people have not identified efficiency, and they're not ready to pay for efficiency. People just talk about, how long will it take? And that is all that decides the rate that I can quote. So often I wonder, how I should prepare my proposals, because I end up being paid less, or I end up having a question if I should tell him that it will take a week more. I have chosen to stick with efficiency and prove that I can do a better job in less time so that I can have more number of projects coming in. But yeah, that's a big dilemma. It's a very small example, but I face this every single day. And so yeah, they have shared their point of view from co-workers' perspective, but I think as a leader, I need to set examples. I do pay my employees by efficiency, and I am very proud of it. So that is my topic. By the way, my business is, I am into outsourcing. So a lot of people think that outsourcing is unethical from some point of view, because one, you are not letting your people work on the job, from US and Australia, basically. So you give it away to countries like India and Philippines, where people are ready to work for less, and that's kind of, it is helping both the countries, but yeah, people tend to feel that because you are from India and you would charge less, they try to exploit. But Allah, it is going good, And so I face this every single day, because I have to, when I send my quotation, I have to go to different currencies and I have to take care of it. But these are two small examples that I wanted to give so that you can set a right pattern in your organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bhavini. Your talk about efficiency reminds me of a story. So there was this businessman going to the airport, and on the way the car had a breakdown. And so this driver got out. He had this spare wheel. And he immediately changed the tire, and then they were on their way to the airport. So the gentleman says thank you and goes away. The next time round, again he is taking another taxi to the airport, and the car has another flat. This time the driver tells him, you just wait, I don't have a spare tire, and then he's running around here, there, everywhere, finds a tire, comes, fixes it, and gets the gentleman to the airport in time. And then he gets paid 100 rupees or 200 rupees, because the gentleman is very happy that he got him in time. What he didn't realize was the first driver was prepared, he was efficient, and he had no issues with changing things. But, this is the way we all work. We see people running around, doing things, and we say, wow, they have done a good job getting me here. That's such a good point. And you had the courage when you were 15 to stand up to something like that. That's amazing, I would never have done that. I can tell you, in retrospect. Okay, so when I was in school, the same age, we had this group of people, there were 4 or 5 of us, who were in a committee, and we were supposed to organize some event for the class. And so we went out, bought gifts and things like that, and at the end of it, we had some money left. So this friend of mine said, we were the ones who did the work, so maybe we should just split what is left amongst us. So I went back and told my sister, look, this is what they're saying. And she said, that's not right. You should be giving it back to the others, whoever gave it. So I didn't take my share, but I can tell you, I was quite tempted, honestly. And on that note, I will hand over to Laura to tell us her share of the story.
No, if you don't mind, I prefer to stay here and look at my presentation, because I have to change something according to what.
We will get the chair here. Will you be able to see it?
Yes.
I'll get the chair here. You can take mine.
No.
उसको नीचे कर सकते हैं ये बैठ जाएंगे यहाँ पे.
It's
You could sit here.
yes. So I'm more comfortable.
Yes.
Yes. Good morning. I am Laura Moschini, and I come from Italy, and I teach social ethics at University Roma Tre. And yes, I teach ethics, and I really believe that we do speak about ethics. Because despite the word ethics is one of the most quoted today, its true meaning is often misunderstood. There is a big diffusion of ethical issues in so-called ethical issues in ethical codes, in public administration, companies, association, even in school and universities. But in general, they are standardized and therefore without a real value, according to ethical principle, and firstly, about the founding ethic question. How should we live to live a good, happy life in a just and orderly society? And today, according to the UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals, also in a society equitable and sustainable. Responding to this question is not easy, as we know, but it would be easier if we intended, if the intended goals were understood. To act ethically, according to Socrates, who is considered the founder of ethics and whose teachers were Diotima, a woman, an important woman philosopher, and his mother, that was a midwife. It's necessary to start for knowing ourselves to understand what we really need, what would make us happy. Living by ourselves, we could understand that our own needs, desires, expectations are the same as any other human beings, even if they are different from us. All this promotes critical thinking that could not coincide with traditional rules or even with laws, today especially the so-called financial and market laws. This causes empathy and brings with it the availability to dialogue in order to better understand the reasons of the other, to overcome conflicts. And all this means also to live from the concept of a society composed of human beings and not of abstract and asexual individuals, as today we tend to do. Abstract and neutral individuals that are the subjects of modeling and big data algorithms. As Amartya Sen, very famous, and I love him very much, philosopher and Nobel Prize for the economy, tell us very well. Models which are, however, adopted on human and not on abstract people, with the results we can easily see. Great inequalities, great poverty of many, and enormous wealth of very few, overwhelming and worse. But the important is for me that in democratic systems, as well as in democratic companies, organizations and companies, needs of everyone have to be considered, and to be considered they must first to be known and understood, well understood. For an example, the famous entrepreneurs, Henry Ford, American entrepreneurs, famous, and the Italian Adriano Olivetti, understood very well that in order to produce more and better, workers must work in a comfortable workplace with sustainable work conditions from the perspective of personal, family, and social life. So models base themselves on algorithms and abstract individuals hardly will be able to do it. I mean, organization, for an example, or a company adopting ethical codes have to consider the needs of everyone, even if these could mean, for an example, less income for them. It's a complex question, I know, but I think we have to consider all the face of the problem. But in the Socratic question also talks about happiness. And happiness is not mentioned in the ethical codes. They prefer to talk about well-being, working well-being, smart working. Why? Happiness is a feeling that makes us live well, but it's still a feeling, not a rational attitude, as well as love, fear, compassion, empathy. We do not decide to be happy, we feel happy also for things or situations that other people do not understand. Although for Socrates only a happy individual can be good, and I think we can easily understand why, a feeling beyond reason, together with critical mind, is commonly considered dangerous, destabilizing, disobedient to social organization and its traditional family, social, economical, as well as to market and job rules today. Happiness and women. But feelings are also dangerous because they are considered feminine. And women, we know, they are considered unreasonable, they speak always too much, they are very disobedient, and they love life. In summary, they are unreliable and dangerous to patriarchal social organization based on obedience rather than discussion, hierarchy rather than peer relationships, on family and social roles rather than responding to everyone's life and job preferences. So, for this reason, as we know from women's history, women have been excluded from decision-making position, and therefore today they have great responsibilities when they can decide. Starting from their own point of view, not homologated to the male one, they can reconsider the social, institutional, educational, economic, financial policies according to ethical principles and the research of happiness, as I told, for happiness for everybody in every field. And starting from the reconsideration of society made up of human beings and not by abstract and neutral individuals, they can find out the wrong interpretation of ethical issue and the incorrect use of it. In summary, we need to speak about ethics, and women could really make the difference. I thank you very much for this session. I learned a lot of things, and I am very, very happy to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. I don't know if you'll have heard of Doc Martin, the famous TV character. He says, why does everyone have to be happy all the time? That's when his wife asks him, are you happy? So anyway, so that's Doc Martin, but the rest of us would like to be happy all the time. And are people who are ethical more happy? Is a question for another discussion for another day. But then, yes, thank you so much. I would like to thank all our speakers, Sonia, Sarah, Bhavini, and Laura. Oh, yes, we are coming to that. So now we have some questions, and then we will have a group photo. So.
Hello, Sonia. You are a lot into training corporates. So I want to ask you if you come across questions wherein the employees feel that the other one is favored in some way. Do they come up? It happens, a Harvard Business Review says, there's a study, for them it says almost 98% of the employees have been victim or have seen being, experienced being exploited or seen people being exploited in some or the other way, some or the other unethical behavior in the organizations they have worked in. So, which means almost everyone, 98% as you just epidemic. So, do you come across such people who come up and ask you how to deal with it? Because it's a big thing, and it exists. I've been a part of corporates, so I know it exists, but I haven't seen many people coming up and speaking about it and seeking some knowledge about how to deal with it.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Yeah, it happens all the time, and a lot of time I get asked about, someone else getting a promotion because they did something and, the other person. So my answer is I have a very simple answer for that. You have to, you assess, you look at the situation, okay? We follow this process called ethical decision making. It's about gathering all your facts and figures, seeing what the situation requires, and then with all the knowledge that you have, making an informed decision. Ultimately, next day when you get up in the morning, it's you yourself who are going to face yourself, right? If you are comfortable doing something like that, like I said, it's a lot of shades of grey. There's nothing right or wrong, what might be right for me. Yeah, so people who ask, they say that, I did not, I think that's what you mean, if you did not get a promotion and the other person got. So I asked them, would you have been able to indulge in that kind of behavior that the other person did and get a promotion? If you're aware of your...
That will not be the prerequisite for getting a promotion, because I am already doing the job.
Yeah, it's not a perfect world. It's not a perfect world.
But do they come up and speak?
Yeah, of course, they come up to me with all kinds of things. And my thing about them is, I just want you, my session is about making you mindful, making you aware of the consequences of the decisions that you make and the choices that you make. This world is full of shades of grey. There are no right or wrong answers. Thank you.
If I may just add to that.
As soon as a company or multinational introduces a whistleblower hotline, where people have the opportunity to anonymously make the claims that they have been mistreated or have been passed over for promotion, we do see more people speak up, but they speak up anonymously. And we go back to the question in this topic, we need to speak about ethics. If processes within companies were truly transparent about what promotions were based on and what promotions criteria were, and openly say there is only one position at the next level and 3 of you are going for it, you wouldn't have as many people feel that they had been unfairly treated because one person got it. Obviously, if you think they're sleeping with a boss or they've done something unethical to get it, then there will still be disgruntled people who didn't get a promotion. But all of it comes down to, if we won't have these conversations, we end up with people that walk away from good companies where they were doing a fantastic job. They just didn't get recognition but they wouldn't speak up about it, but nobody would speak to them about it.
Yes. Our crowd. The crowd wants to ask the question.
Yes, the crowd wants to ask a question.
Okay, first of all, an amazing, really amazing hour we had here. I want to speak to you about ethics and the idea of how do we treat our customers. And I think one of the things, a lot of the things is how do we really look at their needs and how efficiently and willingly we're willing to compromise our returns and our sales in order to exactly show what they need. And I'm going back to finance. I'm coming from the responsible investment world and the idea of how do you do ethical investments. So Sonia amazingly showed how do you do business ethically. But the question is, how do we move this ethical, that first of all teach them that, but then move it to how they do investments. And do they pick Sarah's better companies, or do they not look at it because they don't want to rock their chair and they prefer doing less job, much easier, looking at the numbers and saying, yeah, but as someone said, no one was fired for buying IBM. And the thing is, and I think that's where ethicals it's if we'll manage to bring them one step ahead in the financial world, but also in corporate. How loyal are we to our clients? And if we don't have a good product for them, let's not sell them the product we have. And I think that's part of the ethical scenario, so I'll be happy to hear what you say.
I think she's already addressed you.
No, but I was from your experience.
So
But you're coming from that's my experience.
I worked for a large pharmaceutical company before I went into set up my own company, and I spent 4 years putting an ethics and compliance program into some of the most corrupt countries in the world. Most of them acknowledge that they're pretty corrupt when you talk to them, but it came down to, at the end, what was the profit margin? And that pharmaceutical giant pulled out of all those countries because they weren't making enough profit. And we're talking about countries that were still delivering 30% profit margin on products that in Europe, in the US, we would barely touch 7% profit margin. And it wasn't considered enough because our shareholders wanted return on investment. And as soon as return on investment is part of the equation, it's very difficult to bring ethics up to the same level. But what we are seeing from an investment point of view is that people are looking for those companies that now have a strong corporate social responsibility position and moving away from calling it ethics. More companies are happy to be known as having integrity than they are to be an ethical company. And once they can shift that, away into the integrity, we see roles changing. They're no longer chief compliance officers, they're the integrity officer. This shift in words may make it easier, may not. But as long as profit and shareholders run the world, it will always be a struggle for ethics to be on parity with profit and returns.
I think it's coming. Okay.
Any more questions from the crowd? Thank you. The industry that I come from, the apparel industry, has had a lot of these issues. Manufacturing in, so to say, ghettos kind of places. Thank you so much. I once again thank all of you, and I must say again that I'm very happy that I was here today. Thank you. Thank you. And one group photo now.
Thank you for staying to the end. I came in the morning. You were here right there.
I might as well. Yeah, I'm just sitting here. Yeah.
Yes, it's
not being tested on what was here.
Hi, thank God. I was just walking. Sit down. I'm sad I missed it.
Now, you must pass. No biscuits. No bribery.
No bribery.
Well, I think
Talk about that.
like truth ethics is a matter of perspective, I think.
It is absolutely.
So this is efficient.
Yeah, they get paid twice.
And ethical.
Legal too.
We're trying to integrate this.
Okay, we're not done with this.
The last one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you do the last one?
Not the case.
Did you do the black one?
Yeah.
Yes, he'd already
This
done
one
it.
you did?
So thank you so much. It was really wonderful.
Sarah, nice to meet you.
Great.
I'm next.
It was, you should have been
I
awesome.
wish I could catch the live stream. I will. It was awesome. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. I have to see who the volunteer is here now.
Yeah.
they wanted to get tea, so I said I'll wait for them. Come sit, but it'll be a provocative discussion. I really enjoyed your regression discussion. It was so amazing. I've done a few myself, and each time, you know, it's been.
I know it is.
You know, in one of mine, my husband killed me.
Okay.
Doesn't that suck? Like, I sat there and I was like, what? You know?
But see, what happens is, you know, whatever light you see is somewhere connected to your present issue.
Of course.
Right?
Isn't that funny?
If you see that there must be some connection.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah, and then after that it became, you know, fine. But it just, it almost felt like it needed to be, you know, explained. And so, come in. How are you, my friend? I know these ladies.
Very good. Hello.
Hi.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
How are you? Good morning. So what we're doing is that the person at the end of my talk, which I gave people time because they're getting tea and everything, at the end of my talk that asks the most thought-provoking question gets a free copy of my book that's on the table. I didn't have so many. Yes. The Om Factor. Om. Come in, darling.
So there are going to be a lot of questions.
You made it. No, I was starting a little bit later because everybody was like, I want to get tea, and I felt bad. You know, so I said, go ahead. I'll cut my talk 10 minutes.
Oh,
okay.
Thank you.
All right.
How are you?
Good. Hello.
We have to be with ease, you know? It's no stress.
No stress. Hey, Mehta.
It's really nice to see you again this year. Everybody went to get tea, doctor.
I'm sitting there, but would you like to sit next to your friend? No. It's okay. Come here. Please. You can come here. Come here. You come here.
Thank you.
So I told them 3 more minutes. I said, right at 10 we're going to start, no matter who's here, who's not here. But we need the cameraman, so.
I told myself I'm going to try.
Oh, this is going to be, I'm so happy you made it. It's going to be interesting. You never know what's going to come out of my mouth.
Well, that's what we were told outside, that this is going to be very interesting.
It's going to be very provocative. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. You never know. But you don't want to hold back because we're all open here. So, I mean, I've just had such a. Is this your first time?
Yes.
Yeah. See, this is my second, and I've had such a. I don't know about you all, but it's just there have been so many interesting sessions, and none of them are related to each other, which I love.
Wow.
I love that. Like all of these sessions, I go. You know, like, you know, you had your session on past life regression, and then at the same time you're in a session about the cloud, and the same time you're in a session about the economics of what's happening. Another session you're on, you know, gender equality, and I just find that to be really cool. You know,
You never get these opportunities, actually.
Yeah.
We're attending so many diverse sessions.
Wait, and where are you from?
Delhi.
You're from Delhi.
Yes.
Excuse me. Welcome, my tea people.
It's very good here.
It is, I know. This is like, they gave me the room that is the least inviting.
I know we have to just.
We can adjust it from there, can't we?
I don't know.
That's it.
So we can try it.
You can. We can do it in our rooms and the same thing. Or shut it.
I'll call the boy.
Do you want to call the camera guy?
I've already
You
said.
did?
They
Okay,
said,
and then we'll get started.
social media.
Is it 10 yet?
We can start.
Is it 10?
It's another 3 minutes.
Okay, so I'll wait. I promised them 10, so I don't want to. Some people are like big on time, so.
You're from Technolink.
I'm from, my firm is Technolink. It's an IT services firm in Washington, D.C.
Oh, wow.
Bless you. I started it 17 years ago.
It's yours?
Yes, it's mine.
And where in Washington are you?
I'm in Washington, D.C. Are you familiar?
Yeah, because I go there all the time.
Oh my gosh! I'm in Vienna and McLean, so this is in Tyson's Corner.
Oh, you know, we're in Oakton.
Okay, that's so
Which
close.
is not far.
Not at
I think
all.
10 minutes away.
Yes. What do you do?
I have a daughter who lives in
Yes. What is her name?
Mike to chala hua.
Suri, okay.
So
That's my Masi's last name. Suri.
Suri.
Yeah. My maiden name is Sethi, and so we're all in kind of the same type of Punjabi.
That's right. Yeah, I'll take your card.
Absolutely. I'll give it to you now.
I'm going
I'll give it to you.
there on the 7th of next month.
Are you really?
7th or 8th.
And what does your daughter do there?
She's married with 3 kids.
Oh wow, that's in herself.
Yeah, that's in itself enough.
That's a job in itself.
Son-in-law is also in IT.
Okay.
So that's how they're there.
Yeah. I'm gonna Yeah, perfect. I'm waiting for her to come because she wants to. I promised her I would wait. Does this have to be with this wire?
Yes, because it's going to record.
I'm known to trip on things, so just if I fall, please just don't mind my lack of balance. Sure, yeah. But I just want to wait for her because I promised her. But she just went to check the temperature, but we'll wait one more minute and then we'll start. There she is. I'll come stand here. Is that good for you? Yes, Mr. Cameraman? Okay.
Good morning, everyone. And we are here on Thursday for another lovely session with Alka Dhillon. And she's going to talk about her book, A Woman's Spiritual Guide to Leadership. We all here want to be leaders in our own right, and what we go through and how we can have those keys to success is, and much more. Let's hear it from Alka.
Good morning, everybody. It's really nice to be here with you all. I hope everybody has their tea and everybody's set. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, a little off topic from the book. Of course, everything is related to the book. But I wanted to talk about 3 keys to success, 3 really important things that I've noticed that very successful people enhance themselves with, covet, that they practice, and they engage in all the time. And those 3 things are dating, real estate, and getting naked. So now you're probably wondering, what is she going to talk about? And is this going to be appropriate for this forum? I can promise you it will be okay. So when we talk about dating, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. So when I was younger, and if my mother is watching in the U.S. or seeing, she's going to laugh at this, but when I was younger, in my teenage years, I really wanted to date. I'd heard about it, I'd see it on television. All these people were having boyfriends, and I thought, oh my gosh, that is so cool. So I said to my dad, I said, listen, when am I going to get to date? And he looked at me and he said, we're Indian, we don't date. And I said, what do you mean? We're Indian and we don't date. Everybody else dates. Why can't I? And he said, you're going to go to school, and then after that you're going to get married, and you'll date your husband. And I said, okay, it didn't really sound great to me. And then he said, why don't you just have a date with yourself? And I was like, you're going to tell a 14-year-old girl, have a date with yourself? Who's going to understand that? And I sat there and I just shook my head and I was like, this is really ridiculous. And I never understood what he meant until I grew up and I was living in Washington at the time. And there's a place around the DC area called Georgetown. It's very similar to a place in Europe that has, I see you nodding your head, it has cobblestone streets. It's beautiful. And you get to walk around and go into bookstores, go into cafes. It's really great. And I noticed that I was spending the day with myself. And the hours passed and time passed and I kept going and I was happy and I was okay. And I was okay. And then I noticed I had lunch with myself. I ended up having dinner with myself. And as I was having dinner with myself and noticed that I was by myself and I noticed I was happy, I understood what he meant. So we as women, we say, when a lot of people tell you, take time for yourself, be with yourself, engage in activities that are like such as yoga, or get a massage, or go for a past life regression, or something like that. Do something that makes you feel good. We don't do that enough. We feel that if we schedule an hour for ourselves once a week, we took time for ourselves. You need to date yourself every single day. Have time with yourself. You're beautiful people. We all are. We've met at this conference I have met so many amazing women here. And if you ask them, how much time have you spent with yourself alone? They will look at you and they'll be taken aback. They won't be able to really answer that question. Because a lot of times you feel like, I'm here for a networking session. I want to go meet people. I'm only here for 5 days. I need to meet as many people as I can and as many connections as I can. But when you date yourself, the purpose of it is not so that you won't be lonely, right? That's a different discussion. We'll talk about loneliness another time. But it's so you can bring your authenticity to every person that you meet. Because when you are authentic and when you come from that place and you recharge yourself, you are better in your connections. You are better in whatever it is that you choose to do. So, the next time someone says, I want to spend time with myself, or I need some space, you make sure you let them and take some space for yourself. So that brings it to real estate. What does real estate have to do with success? And it's not success in real estate, okay? So another story, I keep bringing up my father. I'm going to bring him up again. When I was in, so I don't know what you call it in India, but it's middle school. So it's like around the 6th and 7th and 8th grade. I was a bit of a nerd, right? I really liked to study a lot. I really wanted to do well in school. I wanted to make my parents proud of me. Everything. I just wanted to be the best in the class. And I didn't really I wasn't part of the cool crowd. I wasn't part of that group of girls that would be, going to parties and hanging out and looking great. And I was kind of a nerd. And so one day I came home and I was super upset, like really upset. You could tell I was an emotional child. Like here I am talking about dating and I'm telling you all these things about myself. But I came home and I was talking to my father and I was really upset because I felt like I was being, what the term is now, bullied. They call it bullied. They didn't call it bullying back then. They just, I don't know what they called it. They didn't even really care. But I was talking to my father and I said, gosh, these girls, they keep teasing me. They keep saying, why aren't you coming to parties? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you coming with us here? Or we don't want you to sit with us. All of these things. Or, your hair is too, it was really frizzy at that time. It was just like a mess. And, why are you looking this way? And I would cry. I would come home and I would just cry and I would keep it inside. And I talked with him and he said to me, don't let anybody rent space in your head for free. And I sat there and I said, what? You're telling, again, this 13, 14-year-old, don't let anybody rent space in your head for free. And I didn't understand what he meant. And then he said, do you think those girls that are out there right now as you're crying, do you think they're thinking about you? Do you think that they even care about what you're thinking? Do you think that they're shedding any tears for you? Don't let anybody rent space in your head for free. That real estate is prime real estate. Do not let anybody do that. And so as, we grow up as women and we go into the corporate world or we're mothers and we're mothers and doing whatever it is that we're doing philanthropically, we always get into situations where we care so much about what other people think of us. That space in our head is taken up so much by what other people think. And why is that? Why do we do that as women? More than men. You will notice that men kind of just shake it off, they go, they don't care, and a lot of that has to do with maybe ego and those types of things. But we as women care. And why do we do that? And I noticed that if I started to change my perceptions and change the way I look at things, the things I look at changed, right? That's a theory of physics. Max Planck said that. And so when we do that allows us to create space, bring in that authenticity, and be able to clear up that real estate. There's a famous professor, Dr. Carol Dweck. Does anybody know about Dr. Dweck out of Stanford University? She did an amazing study about people and why this phenomenon happens. And she did it based on, she categorized people into two mindsets, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So people with a fixed mindset, we all know these people. These people are people that they're the rock stars, right? They have the Midas touch, they have a golden touch. Anything they touch turns into gold. They are successful. They walk in, they're told their entire life, since they're little girls and little boys, you are amazing, you are great, you're a rock star, you're fantastic. When you hear that your entire life, do you think you ever want that to stop? Do you think you ever want somebody to stop telling you you're fantastic? No. You keep doing whatever it is that you can do to keep getting those accolades, to keep getting those pats on the back, right? So those people with a fixed mindset believe that your talents cannot be cultivated. You are born with them. You are born with them. You are given a gift from God, and that's it. So what do those people do? They do not go outside of the box. They're not good team players. They don't try anything new. They just keep doing the same thing over and over again to get those accolades. People with a growth mindset, though, they're different. They're also told, as they're growing up, you are fantastic, you are great, I love what you do, and this is why I love what you do. That's the difference. They're told why. I love the way you wrote that story. And I love the way you developed the plot in that story. I love the way all the characters developed so nicely. I love the way you were successful on that deal and how you brought all these people together and closed that negotiation. I loved the way in which you communicated with everyone. These people were told from a very young age why. Why they were good. Not just they were good. So those people with the growth mindset have very open minds. This is what Dr. Dweck had found, they have very open minds. They're equally, if not more successful, because success is self-defined. They were happy. They were happy. They were collaborative. They brought in other people. They understood that they stood on the shoulders of other people to get where they are. It is not just me. It is not just I. They understood what it took. So in this space of real estate, when we're talking about real estate and the real estate in your head, clear the space in your head enough so that you can not only be authentic, but you come with a growth mindset, you create that space, and you can give to other people, right? Because I think it's Newtonian's law, right? Third law of motion, that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And I was thinking about that. You know, on the desk, I don't know on your desk, but on my desk, I have that pendulum that goes back and forth, and every time it hits a ball, it comes back the same exact way, with the same exact force. And I was, looking at that, and I see the ball going back. But I said, when it's with giving, though, giving is the one thing that I've noticed does not have an equal and opposite reaction. Because when you give, you get much more than what you receive. You feel so full. So that is the one phenomenon that I believe that defies all laws, is when you give, and when you give authentically, and when you give from that space where your mind is very precious real estate. So now we're going to talk about the last thing, which is getting naked. This is the most fun part. And I'm going to keep my clothes on for this one, and so are all of you. So getting naked is something where you and a lot of people have talked about this, and we're in the country, my motherland, where it is the basis of where this starts, and that is through meditation. And that is when you are getting naked and getting to the core of yourself, the core of who you are. That is what getting naked is. Strip yourself of your mask that we wear every day, that, hi, I'm Alka Dhillon, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a CEO, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend. Strip off all those masks. Be with your essence for just 2 minutes every day. There are many people in this world, and we all know them, that have made a lot of money talking about meditation. A lot of money. That you have to do it for 20 minutes, 2 times a day. You have to be sitting in a certain place. You have to be sitting, make sure you're facing the east, or make sure you're doing all these things. That, to me, is ridiculous. That is not what meditation is, at all. People just make a lot of money doing that. So I'm going to save you a lot of money. A lot of people here are meditators, I'm sure. How many meditators do we have in the room? I'm sure we have a lot of meditators. We're in the country of meditation. So if you do 2 minutes of meditation, we're going to do it together here. We're going to do an exercise. If you do 2 minutes of meditation every single day, it is much better than 30 minutes once a week. I'm going to tell you my last story. This is of a man. We're going to talk about a man. I was doing one of my talks, and he came up to me at the end of the talk, and he said, I've never meditated before, but what you've taught here, I'm going to do these 2 minutes every day because my life is complete in the gutter. It is awful. I think my wife is going to leave me. I think I'm going to really lose my job. I have no money to speak of anymore because I gambled it all away. I mean, he was just unloading on me, and I'm listening to him, and you feel compassion, but you need to have, compassion with detachment, as it says in the Gita, as we know. So I'm listening to him. I said, you do it. I said, listen, if you do this, I want you, I'm going to give you my card, and I want you to come back to me in 2 weeks, okay? 2 weeks, and I want you to call me, okay? Email me, this is my personal mobile number, and you tell me what has happened in your life, because I promise you it will change. He said, no, I'm a believer. I'm going to do it. 13 days later, not 14, on the 13th day, I get a call. And I, was a little fuzzy on the person because, you meet a lot of people. I won't say his name. He's a very known to be a very successful man in the United States, so I won't say his name, but he was reduced to almost nothing. And he said to me, you have changed my life. I quit my job, and so of course as I'm listening to this, I'm just like, oh my God, what have I done? I quit my job, my wife is not leaving me, my kids like me now again, and I'm going to continue doing this. But why does it work, right? I thought that was fantastic, but why does it work? Because all that we are, our entire source, our energy, no matter what you believe, this is not a religious thing, right? This is science, this is fact, this is energy, because all that we are energetic beings, right? It's just this on-off switch. This is going on and off for all these molecules that are going on and off and on and off. And we interact with one another. Why is it when I meet you, and especially when I saw you outside, you were so warm, so helpful. Is that because of the shell of the body that you have? No, it is your energy. It drew me towards you, and you were so helpful. What can I do for you? Can I do this for you? Can I do that for you? We'd never met before, right? And, I was speaking with this lovely doctor over here, and she was telling me, we were sharing stories that, she's from Washington, Seattle, and I'm from Washington, D.C., and she happened to be from an IT background before, and I am in IT now. There are no accidents. And you I've seen from last year. And then this beautiful jewelry design. I feel like I know everybody, and then, everybody in the room. And there are no accidents. I mean, we could talk so much about it. I really want to hear all of your stories instead of me taking up all the time talking. But there are no accidents. So when you meet someone, meet them from an authentic place, right, first. So we're going to date ourselves in order to do that. We're going to spend time, we're going to commit to spending time. I don't care if it's 5 minutes a day, I don't care if it's an hour a day, but daily tap in. Still do your weekly massages, still do those things, but daily be with yourself, right? And secondly, Don't let the chatter of outside people, what they're talking, what they're thinking about you, what people think about you is none of your business. It's none of your business. So you focus on being with yourself, bringing yourself from an authentic place, and finally, engage in getting naked every day, outside of the shower. I don't care where you sit, and we're going to do this together. You can be in your office, and this is all in the Om Factor. The parts, the thing about the book that I think all you ladies will like is that it's very plug and play, right? It's very much where you can look, and it takes 7 emotions that you feel, right? We all feel anger and resentment. We all feel overwhelmed. We all feel anxiety. I took these 7 emotions that clearly, as you know, you've seen I'm an emotional being coming up from so young that I've shared and been vulnerable with you all. It takes those emotions and breaks them down and gives you tools that you can use in the moment when it's happening. I always used to find, I want to mind the time too, I always used to find that when I met with people, they always told me that go do a journal or go on like a meditation retreat. You'll feel better. Go to a therapist. Who has time for that when you're in the moment feeling that and you're hemorrhaging and you're laying on the floor like thinking the world is over, right? What are you going to do then? So this is what that talks about. And then there's 7 key traits so that you can cultivate those specific traits so that you will not hemorrhage as much and you will learn to respond rather than react. These key things that I talked about, these are things, when I talk about successful people that they have, people like Oprah, people like, anybody that you meet that you think are, like Bill Gates, all these people, they engage in these 3 things. They really care about dating, they really care about real estate, and they always get naked every day. So you want to get naked together then, right? So let's put our feet flat on the floor. We're going to experience this together, especially with the energy of the room, which I think is important. And in this case, everybody does meditation a different way, but I'm going to just do this and just hear my voice. So keep your hands with your palms facing up, and gently close your eyes, and just listen to my voice. And for right now, just breathe normally. Don't worry about the number of inhalations or the exhalations. Just be. Thoughts are going to come and go, and that's okay. You're just going to observe them. You're not going to judge them. You're not going to judge your breath. There are going to be a lot of maybe ambient sounds or things around that you might hear. Just be. And now with your eyes closed, I want you to connect and feel your heartbeat. That beautiful cadence of that heartbeat. You should be able to connect with that and feel that. And in that heartbeat, I want you to bring in an intention. Something that you really, really want in this moment. What do you really, really want? Just one thing. It can be financial, it can be spiritual, it doesn't matter. One thing. Bring it into that heartbeat. After you've brought it in, just let it go, let it float into the air, and bring yourself back to your breath. And just observe it. Now, with your eyes closed, I want you to bring your palms together and rub them together and generate some heat with your eyes closed. After you've generated some heat, put your palms over your eyes and keep your eyes closed, and whenever you're ready, just open your eyes. How did that feel? Nice. So that was literally 2.5 minutes that we did. How powerful was that? The power didn't come from me, it didn't come from anywhere else but inside you. So even if, when people say they don't have time, we don't have time, you have time for anything that you make time for. You can make time for 2 minutes a day. So I wish you all well. I hope you enjoy the book. So what I'm wanting to do today, is that the table, and actually there's not somebody at that table, but the table that asks the most, I'll be the judge of it, the most provocative question or the most thought-provoking question. Well, we're going to give all the books away, so don't worry, and I'll sign them. But whoever asks the best question that engages the most people, because it's about engagement, right? They'll get a copy of the book. So who would like to start? I expect a question from everyone. or a comment, something to share. Who would like to
share something?
Yes, please. Please. Thank you. Do you want to stand here because I think the cameras? Yeah.
So, Alka, really, whatever you spoke about, I think it was very relevant for all of us today. And whatever happens in our life happens for a reason. All of us over here, we are there, must be for a reason. And the words of wisdom that you spoke were meant for us, not for others, whoever could not make it. So there is a lot of relevance in that. I would just like to add a little thing to it. So, because I'm a great follower of Louise Hay, and she talks about loving yourself all the time. And whatever you spoke about are facets of loving yourself. All the three of them. It is like loving yourself all the time. And one of the things which she most advocates about is stop all criticism in your mind. And which you did mention in them, but she focuses so much about it, so I just wanted to elaborate a little more on it. So no matter what, as you said, do not give free space on your mind. So whatever, whoever is saying, never criticize either yourself or others, because once you stop that, I think everything else follows. And thank you so much for sharing. I think, this was really very important for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your work as well. She does amazing past life regressions. If you can ever spend some time with her.
And I really want your book.
And I'm the it's going to be yours. It's going to be yours. It seems.
What happens if we all want a book?
Then we'll figure something out. Please come.
Because our questions may not be the best.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody can't have the best question.
Well,
thank you, Alka. I sincerely believe in what you said today. I never carry a grudge. Whatever anybody has said, it doesn't matter, because it's only affecting us. The person who said it doesn't even know about it. You may be spending the next 2 hours crying about what you've heard or any criticism, whatever it is, but the other person knows nothing about it. Right. So why are we going to torture ourselves? For nothing. Let's move on. There is so much to do, so much to think about, so much to improve on ourselves, that people's remarks should not matter no matter where you are, what you do. Absolutely. So I think that what you said was really, really relevant. And all 3 points are takeaways. And as you can see, I was writing so sincerely all about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I do hope to connect with you in Washington.
I would love to see you in
Yes,
Washington.
and I will be there starting 7th or 8th. I don't know which date it is.
In June?
In June?
Yes, right. Okay.
Are
I'll
you
be in
there?
town.
Are you there? And I will definitely call you. I'll take your card.
I would love to meet with you.
And I'll bring my daughter along.
Perfect.
I think she also, everybody needs to listen to what you
Perfect,
said.
and I'll bring my book for her.
Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
I have
Yay.
This means subconscious. There you go, bring it on. Great.
So as you said, you should declutter the space in your mind. And people, it happens that when you go up the ladder of success, you will have people who will talk negative about you. You will have people who, it is like, we are living in a world which are like crabs. So if one crab goes up, the other 9 tries to pull it down. That's the general mindset. My question is, nowadays media is there, we all are like hooked onto it, and there are some people which I see nowadays, they use the media. Even if there's a seller, even if it's not a seller, their personal grievances, they put it on social media to malign a person. So how does one react to it? Because if you keep quiet, then also it can be harmful, because the people who are reading about it may not know the truth, as to what has happened. And I see it, and when I see certain things like this happening, and I feel bad for the person who's doing it. But then, people all have their, and they plunge in, and then the controversy becomes bigger and bigger, and that's what people like to, comment and read on. So how do you think one should react to something like that?
That is an amazing question. In my opinion, and I've noticed this, I've experienced this, firsthand. The moment you get into the public eye, it's like you have this big sign on your head, like, please come mess with me. Please bother me. Please put me down as much as possible. The moment that happens, a lot of it goes, in my opinion, you don't react, you respond, right? And response means with a solution in mind. That means that you have to figure out what your end goal is. What is your end result you're looking for? If you want more publicity, dive in, engage, get into the mud, get into the gutter with them. Because they say good publicity, any publicity is good publicity, right? But if you don't want to have that kind of publicity, if you are of a growth mindset, if you care about how things are done, to me, silence, no matter what, is still so powerful. It is so powerful. Not only when we share space inside with ourselves, but when you engage with other people and you bring your authentic self, all those other people that are out there that are supporting you, that one person, those 10 people, those 1,000 people, it does not matter. Because the people, just like you so eloquently said, we are all here for a reason. Everything that if you have a platform, you're there for a reason. You're going to stay in that platform. If you get off that platform, you're meant to get off that platform. So your ride is over. There's going to be a time where it's over, right? I'm not going to be talking forever. The game ends at some point, right? When we die, or we not die, but when we leave this body. So my answer to your question is, you respond with silence. That is a response. It's not. People think that by not saying anything, you're not doing anything. To me, when you are the most quiet, you can move mountains. You see people that do meditation and that have gained, Baba Ramdev came, has acquired a lot of self-power that he has acquired within himself through his practice. He can cure people, right? People have been cured by him. These are not people, you can call it a miracle, you can call it whatever you want, but he has harnessed his power and he is sharing that energy, right? So my take it or not take it, but I always choose to respond with silence because you're responding. So that's, yes, please.
Alka, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
You and I were talking a little bit beforehand about working in IT, working in corporate.
Yes.
And I'm curious about your work. I think you have a pretty receptive audience. You're kind of preaching to the choir. And when you work in corporate, I know sometimes I find this for my own work.
Yes.
Do you have to present differently so that you can be heard or not?
Great question.
I, by nature, am not someone that follows the rules very well. I don't do that. So I don't present any differently. And believe it or not, and I'm so happy you asked this, because when you speak to IBM, and I was telling you Microsoft, all these, I'm saying only a few names just so because you all in the audience will know these names. when I speak to those corporations, because we are all human beings, right? And we're having this spiritual experience together, they actually love it. They sit and they soak it in like a sponge, everything that I say, because they feel like, oh, that's taboo, or oh, I'm not supposed to talk about that, and oh my gosh, she's giving us permission to spend time with ourselves and take time, and wait a minute, my corporation paid for her to come here, and I have this book, so maybe they actually believe in this too. So you get that kind of buy-in. You're going to have skeptical people. You're going to have those people. But I feel a lot, I don't know what you feel, but I feel that skepticism, when it comes in, a lot of times it's not what you really, really think. It's what you want to show. You want to show that, oh, I'm not so sure I'm on that train. I'm not so sure I agree with her. I want to be, I don't want to go against the fray. You know what I mean? But I found, and I was, the first time when I had done my first talk to a corporation, I was a little nervous inside because I didn't know how they would receive it, right? And after the first talk, I realized that one fact, that it's a human experience. It's we're human beings having that spiritual experience, and when you're talking about things that resonate with people, that resonate with energy, that resonate with us as human beings, and talk about how we can allow ourselves to accept ourselves and be more successful. There's a saying. I was told this by someone. Does everybody know Deepak Chopra in this room? Yeah. Dr. Deepak Chopra, right? He told me this story one day that his grandmother told him. There are two goddesses that we have in Hinduism. For the people that are not Hindu, that I'll explain. But Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth, and Saraswati is the goddess of wisdom and knowledge, and I think a lot more things. But I'll just put it to make it, easy to understand. And his grandmother always told him that between two women, I want you to always, chase after Saraswati if you're going to pick two women, which is the goddess of wisdom and the goddess of learning. Because when you do that, Lakshmi will get so jealous and always follow you. So true. I have found that in my life, that when you chase anything, men, money, friendships, jobs, you chase anything, you'll never get it. But when you just be, and you just are present in each moment, each interaction, when I'm speaking with you, you're the most important person for me at that moment. I am not thinking about anything else, what happened 5 minutes ago or what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. I am here talking with you. When you are present in each moment, you are cultivating that energy. You're cultivating that tapping into your personal success, and you will see money will follow you, joy will follow you, happiness will follow you. When you try to chase something or come from a place of lack, like Dr. Louise Hay has said as well, Dr. Wayne Dyer, who I was so lucky before his passing endorsed the Om Factor. It's okay. We're in technology, right? When you are in that place, you will always see abundance. When you come from a place of lack, you will get nothing but that. That was such a great question. Thank you for asking that. Anyone else? Yay!
My question is that when you become successful, and most being women, now this is coming as a woman, how do you balance your career and your family? Because it is challenging, and there are times you might have to choose your family or your career. But what is your take on how to balance and make it more effective?
Another great question. I didn't bring enough books because these are amazing questions, all of them. Okay, so I told you all the roles that I play so far, right? So I'm the role of a mother. I have two beautiful children, a son and a daughter. They're 11 and 7, so they're still in a very young age, and they need my attention. And my mother thinks I don't give them enough attention, I'm sure. So that's one role, right? Role of a wife, and a sister. I have 2 younger sisters. Daughter, as I talked about my mother. I'm the CEO of Technolink. I'm the author of The Own Factor. I sit on the board of the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, which takes a lot of my time. It's a very active board on where we are helping the youth in marginalized areas and putting them through a mini MBA program so that they can start their own businesses throughout the world. We're in 60 countries. I play many, many, many roles, and I'm also a good friend, I would say. In those roles, this concept to me of balance, there is no balance, right? It is about making conscious choices. Not just choices, not just organizing your time, making conscious choices and opportunity cost. If anybody has studied economics, they know opportunity cost. What are you giving up to do this, to do that? What is the cost to you? So to me, in my priorities, I have my priorities in a certain way, and then I don't waver from them. So for example, I was invited to a talk in Poland. It's the week of my son's birthday. It's an amazing opportunity for me, a really amazing opportunity for me. And financially, it's a great opportunity. The amount of people that I would meet, it's going to be so personally fulfilling for me. It falls on my son's birthday, and I declined it. They didn't understand that. They did not understand that. And I didn't care. To me, there are things that I have set. And when I follow those things, if those priorities are mine, then that's it. And then you know what will happen? What happens? 3 days after that, I got another invitation for something that paid more and was just as fulfilling, and it's at a different time. Why? Because I didn't chase it. I didn't covet it. I didn't let it go. I let it go. I didn't hold on to it, right? I'm going to tell you one other thing. My father did it. My father has passed away 20 years ago, but he has impacted my life immensely. One day, he was trying to teach me this concept. So he put 5 grapes in his hand, and then he gave them to me. I have 3 minutes, right? Yeah. He gave them to me, and he said, keep these in your hand, and I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to hold them. Don't drop any. Don't drop any. So I was holding them, and I was nervous. My hand was shaking. I didn't want to drop any. And as I was nervous and shaking and so worried about it, I started to, put tighter, and the grapes just squished all onto the ground. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Because my eyes had to be closed also. So he was teaching me to go within. He was teaching me, and then I opened my eyes, and I was like, I'm so sorry, Daddy, that this happened. And he said, no, don't be sorry. And he said, I want you to treat every relationship, anything you do, like these precious grapes. I want you to put your hand around them enough so that you can hold them. Enough so that you can hold them. But do not put so much pressure on anyone and think that you're going to hold them close to you, or anything, any job, any husband, any friend, any relationships. Don't hold it so tight because it will go, and it will be finished, and it will never, ever come back. That was a very profound example. And I've done that example when I speak to children in schools. I'll bring grapes to show them, because when we can impact, I feel like when we can impact our children at a very young age, then it helps us, because a lot of us are in therapist chairs right now, and we want to avoid that with our kids. So I think we have time for like one question. Do we have time? Yeah?
I just call the photographer.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, what? Yes, please.
I feel that this is what detachment.
Yes.
Like what the example
Yes.
you gave
Yes.
about
It's something to
race.
see.
I always feel that like with our children, relationship with our children or the husband or family, you try that you can hold them forever.
Hold them tight with you.
But that's not, and it gives you trouble. Like if you're too attached to your children, whatever happens, you feel miserable. I don't know, somehow I've now developed this, that it's detachment. I love all of them, but like if someone goes, someone comes, I don't know, I don't take it to heart.
Right.
Because it gives me trouble then.
Right.
So I used to see my mother, she used to feel very upset, any child going, coming, like how to leave them, how not to. So I think seeing that made me, a little bit more stronger.
Yes, yes.
So now, like with anyone who comes, goes, I feel, but the detachment is there. I just don't, like
the grapes.
Squeeze them.
You don't squeeze the grapes. You can drink grape juice any other time, but don't do it yourself.
Thank you so much.
So I think that's very important, like,
yes.
Little bit of detachment you have.
Yes, absolutely.
Otherwise, you trouble yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. Are we?
Yeah.
Can we have one? I mean, I don't know how much time we have.
No, you can speak. I've just got it.
Okay, great. No, I'm done. I don't know if anybody else. I wanted to just. Yeah.
Anyone else wants to ask? We still have 2 minutes. Any questions or anything they want to?
We have to absorb what we.
I know.
Yeah.
That's very informative.
It is.
Thank you so much.
You guys are so great. Thank you so much.
It feels very good inside.
Thank you so much for all coming.
The energy is very good.
The energy in this room, you all bring the energy. You know what I mean? You all bring the energy.
And the
Which is so
examples
great.
are such that I think, at least for me, I remember all of it.
You will. I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
It's very practical and
right. Because there's so many things. There's such. These are such.
I just need a card.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
We have a
And I'll sign your book. And listen, everybody asked great questions, so whoever can, whatever books are available, please take them, and I will sign them. And if it's meant to be yours, it will be. If not, order it on Amazon. But thank you guys so much. Thank you. Shall we get a photograph? Yes.
Oh, we are looking for the book.
Yay! Is the camera? I don't think is the camera on? Okay, great. Hi guys. All right. All right. Yay! I want a copy of this picture. Whoever wants to be in can come. No. There's plenty of room. Wait. We have somebody else coming. Come on in. I love your outfit.
You can come. One can come there. Balance it out.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to sign this. Let me get my pen. Yay!
Go sign करते हुए भी लेना होता है.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so glad. I'm going to just sit so I can do a proper. Okay, Nusrat, yes. Thank you. Really great. Thank you so much. Yay. What is your name? Nina. N-I-N-A?
W.
N-E-E. Oh, N-E-E. Like N-E-E. Like the Indian spelling, not the Western spelling.
That's right.
No.
Really? Mine is a huge A, but then I got P-double-O-O-J. I don't know, but I like it.
Hello.
Thank you. As you receive, I'm going to give you my card. I will. Absolutely. Okay, yeah. As soon as I will give you. Absolutely. I'm going to write it here so I can.
Hello. Good morning.
And I want to get your picture. I know it's going to be like you want to see it.
Living life
as a multipotentialite.
Oh, you did?
I'm getting discovered.
My personal Facebook, right?
Yeah, so Kuiljeit will go first, and then once she finishes,
Because I have obviously
I will. You want your laptop? You got a pen?
Really nice meeting you. Thank you for your work. Thank you. With a U. Okay.
Yeah.
This group has good sessions.
But that's how I would like to learn, because when things are complicated, nobody will do it. Who's going to do it? Absolutely. Yeah. Then it becomes. Right. I want to take those from people. That is like that's great. It's exactly. That stuck with me forever. Let me give you my cards. You guys are such a fantastic audience too. I'm not going away. I'm here. Yes. Email me. Okay, sure. Or give her your copy.
Ma'am, please come.
Okay, I will be back. I'll be back.
It will really help. I promise you. It will really help. Sure. Of course. Sure. I would love to talk to her. Sure. Sometimes just talking 5 to 10 minutes on the phone makes a big difference.
That's what I would like. Is it coming? No. Now it's coming? It's fine. Lovely ladies. Who are you? There you are.
Best. Thank you. Thank you. I'm from Washington, D.C. Nusrat. Okay.
Guys, you want your dress? Why don't you come to the center?
This
interview.
Eight.
I also want to change it. Come. Tonight. I don't know. Then I have to take it like this. Because it's not like that. It's just memories. There you are.
Thank you.
You also. Now you have to do it.
Come. Yay. I love this. This is so
I always remember, time will pass, everything will go, but this will stay there.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yes. You do? What do you do? Yes. Yeah, I have your card. What do you do? Where? What? Nigeria?
Could ask somebody to help you.
Yes. NFT, Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. NFT. You should. It's really great. We're not in Nigeria right now. Yeah. You know what's funny? It's not funny, but interesting. Girl, I want to show you her name from her. She reached out. Oh, perfect.
You are Alka.
Great. Very nice. Yeah.
Excuse me, ladies, you are having a group photograph.
Please
come.
Where?
Yes. I thought it was done because that's what she told me. But
उधर नहीं हुआ उधर कुछ चल रहा है जल्दी पकड़ो फोन पकड़ो मेरी रिकॉर्डिंग बहुत चलेगी है बहुत ज़्यादा चलेगी मेरी रिकॉर्डिंग
We're not live anymore, right? We're not live anymore.
Take it here.
The camera's
off
off.
in the background.
Is the video camera off?
No, it's off.
Okay.
You want to come, ma'am?
I'm good.
Oh, do I call you also? Oh, sure.
Come.
That was so cold, actually.
Tea.
I think I'm going to get that too. Even I wanted to have a. Usha, come.
Sorry.
Come on camera also.
Silence.
It's mine. Golden.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank
So,
you very much.
I want to show you this form. I'm telling.
उधर चलो
Yes.
had an extra heavy breakfast.
Felt like a good idea at the time when you were shoving it into your mouth, didn't it?
Maybe you should take a nap.
We could have a collective nap, couldn't we?
Yeah. Collective nap? I'm going to put you into activities.
Okay, good.
And then we nap. After.
And then I want to attend a couple sessions. Then I'm tracking in the plenary at 6 o'clock.
Really?
Yeah, in the work.
Oh, great.
Torn a meniscus in my knee. That means a surgery. So I'll try and take off the bandage maybe sometime in between and see. Because it's very vulnerable. To see how good I am. Not for any other reason. I've been put bandage on the entire stretch of 3-4 days ever since I've come. I was on bed rest for the last 1 month. Now it's much better.
Are you from India?
Yeah.
Very beautiful dress.
Yeah.
Very beautiful dress.
Yeah. She's like, I know, and then she goes on or give her your copy, whatever you want to do, and let her read it. Because she's in high school, she'll read this one too. So, and then, yeah. If she ever needs a check.
Edith. You say, it's like Edith is in my head.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that. You're actually Edith.
Yeah. Not evil, Edith.
No, I said Edith. I never call any. I don't like that word as it is. Evil.
But still, women are calling you.
That's so sad. Those are the people who probably don't know me, right? Yes, so you're from Nigeria. I have another friend from Nigeria that I met. She's not beautiful musical name. No, just this morning. And this one too, though she's from South Africa. Some people, you know the sound, it just vibrates.
Yeah.
Some names are just amazing. That's the problem now, they're meeting too many people.
I know.
Okay. Names are going all over the place.
Plus, have you noticed that if somebody contacts you through the WEF thing, it just says from WEF, and it's like, hello, blah, blah, blah. If they have said it, it's like, but then I've discovered you get the magic. If you press reply, you can see who it was. But if you don't, then you can't.
So bless your stars. We're all going to go back in a state of confusion, wondering, there are tons of numbers in these groups that have no names, or sometimes no DPs either.
You know what?
And so,
You know what happened yesterday? I was on the road and I needed to check coming in. Also, on the drive.
I would like to understand how this was.
So I had turned on my data. And then 50 WhatsApp from the group came in. And then my phone said, your data are used for today. Thank you so much.
Thank goodness I'm not checking.
No, it's I left the WhatsApp group. I couldn't handle it. No, because I had these.
Oh, you left it?
Yeah. And then somebody
Just
put me back in. And it's like, no, I'm leaving it in.
Get back.
You know what?
Like, do I have a number in the bargain now? I do.
Sorry?
Do I have a number still?
If I'm sure.
Good morning. I'm Sandhya from Bangalore, and I am your volunteer here, anchor for this session. And I'm very happy to welcome you all and Dr. Kuiljeit. She is a multifaceted personality. She's got so many things on her profile that I don't even want to start talking about it. She can talk about herself. But she's going to talk to us about living life as a multipotentialite, and I'm so looking forward to this session. So Kuiljeit, it's over to you, and when you have little time left, I'm going to show you what's starting there. All right?
Perfect. Thanks. Thank you so much, Sandhya. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So firstly, a very hearty welcome to each one of you. The fact that you are here is because probably this topic is exciting to you, I presume, like it was to me when I chose to talk about this. So what I'm going to do is probably shuffle around a little bit between my laptop and here, and I hope it's okay with the camera guys, right? I'm a very animated person when I'm in my session. So, all right. So what we're going to do today is discover how you can live life as a multipotentialite. But for that, we need to know a few things, right? So what we're going to do is explore who is a multipotentialite, and also discover, are you a multipotentialite? What are the traits of a multipotentialite? Some real life examples is what we're going to touch base with. We'll also see the perks and challenges of being a multipotentialite, and how can you make multipotentialism your USP. Alright, so I'm going to also do a couple of activities with you to be able to enhance as well as sustain your multipotentiality. Alright, so are we ready?
Yes.
Alright, so let's start. Now I'm going to start my my presentation by taking you on a little meeting with someone. Okay, so let's have this little rendezvous with this person and keep hearing me through as I talk about this person. Alright? This person started learning Indian classical dance at the age of 3. For the ones who do not know the classical dance names here, there's something called Kathak, so she started learning Kathak. And then at 5, she moved into learning Bharatnatyam, so much so that for years together after she finished, she started even teaching this classical dance. She was also a gymnastics champion in school, and then she moved into long jump, and she became a state junior champion. And then, of course, she became a national level athlete now for javelin throw, which was an entirely different game. She's a professional singer. She has sung jingles for advertisements, and she has performed in India and abroad. She's a musician. She plays, she plays the synthesizer, the harmonium, the piano, guitar, and 7 percussion instruments. She has been an academic topper at school and university. She also loves to paint. She writes poetry, English poetry, and it's been published in a few places here and there. And she was the All India Best Cadet in the Paramilitary Forces, National Cadet Corps. She's been a voiceover artist, and her voice is across the 5 continents. And she's there on National Geographic and Discovery and many corporate films. She's also been an ambassador of the country to Canada for 6 months. She has been in advertising and journalism, and she's won some 3 national awards for excellence in advertising. Where did I go next? She also is into acting. She's been offered to do television serials and movies, and she's part of an active English theatre group. She's a master trainer, and she does train the trainer. She's an expert on that. She's been a creative director. She's made a couple of documentary films. She's also been an anchor and presenter for the International Film Festival and for the Ministry of Cultural Affairs. She's also been a pilot. She's been an author. She has authored about a few hundred educational books, traversing the lines of aviation, hospitality, travel and tourism, customer service, English language skills, and she's an educationist. She's got 4 master's degrees, all in 4 different areas, from English literature to journalism, mass communications, image management, and business administration. And she's been an entrepreneur. And lastly, she is an image scientist, and the first one in the world, and the only one in the world, an image scientist. Ladies and gentlemen, yours truly. Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored and humbled at the same time. I apologize for this pompous introduction, but the reason I did that was to bring to light the relevance of this topic. So when we talk of being a multi-potentialite, this is what we talk of. And I am just a mere mortal. Happen to be interested, I have a bug in my head probably, that likes to do a lot of things. The only thing is that I've also explored it. Many of us do have the same, we don't explore enough, right? So we're going to just talk about living life as a multi-potentialite. And let's move on from here to what exactly is multipotentiality. So this is for clarity for all of you. It's an educational and psychological term that started way back in 1972 by this gentleman called Fredrickson. Okay, so it refers to the ability and preference of a person, particularly one of strong intellectual or artistic curiosity, to excel in 2 or more different fields. So if you do that, you're pretty much a multipotentialite. I'm sure this august audience definitely has, probably, if not all, a majority of multipotentialites sitting right here. Okay, so it can also refer to an individual whose interests span multiple fields or areas rather than being strong only in one. So it's not only about you excelling in it, but you could also have interest. Maybe because of paucity of time or the way life has taken you around various swerves, you have not had the chance to explore it. But otherwise, you would typically be a multipotentialite. And we are going to do a quiz because we're going to know whether you're a multipotentialite or not, alright? So it's the ability to select and develop any number of career options like you just saw in the pompous slide. I'm going to call it the pompous slide. I was actually awkward while doing that, but then I said, what the hell? You know? I think I might as well use it as an example, and I'm not using anybody else's, right? Me there, so. Anyway, so yeah, you can develop any number of career options because of a wide variety of interests, aptitudes, and abilities. So, let's look at some real-life multipotentialites. I think this guy just tops the list completely. Incidentally, I want to bring to your notice, there is something also called a polymath. I have been called a polymath. These are polymaths I'm talking of. Now, what is a polymath and what's a multipotentialite? Let me just differentiate. A polymath is a person who has expertise in more than 2 areas. Okay? A multipotentialite could have interest more than 2 areas. And then, of course, explore or whatever. So, that's a little bit of a difference. Leonardo da Vinci is, of course, a very well-known name, but I'll just try and show you the variety of things this gentleman was into. Italian polymath whose areas of interest included invention, painting, sculpting, architecture, science, music, mathematics, engineering, literature, anatomy, geology, astronomy, botany, I'm gasping for breath, writing, history, and cartography. And he's also been called the father of architecture, and of course, we all know that he was a great painter. So he's also, by the way, credited with the inventions of the parachute, helicopter, and tank. I couldn't have missed that out being a pilot myself. I had to. Okay, let's see another one. Here is an American president, the 3rd American president, Thomas Jefferson. He mastered many disciplines which ranged from surveying and mathematics to horticulture and mechanics. He was a proven architect in classical tradition, very well versed in linguistics and spoke several languages. So here's another one. I have about 4 or 5 of them. Sir Isaac Newton. Everybody knows. Laws of gravity, laws of motion, all of that, right? So a major contributor in terms of the scientific revolution. He also said that the Earth probably is an oblate spheroid. We all know about that too. So he has been credited to build the first practical reflecting telescope, optics, the theory of color, but alongside he was a great mathematician. And I know in research I've used a lot of his work, especially the binomial theorem and calculus for any of us who are geeks in maths. I'm not one, but I mean, sometimes you have to do it. So, yeah, calculus, power series, binomial theorem, all of that. So, a huge maths and science person. Here is this gentleman from the Philippines. Okay, he was a nationalist. He was an ophthalmologist, a sculptor, painter, educator, farmer, historian, playwright, and journalist. And besides poetry and creative writing, he dabbled with varying degrees of expertise in architecture, economics, ethnology, anthropology, dramatics, martial arts, fencing, and pistol shooting. Then, of course, we have Aristotle, the Greek philosopher and scientist, and he, of course, was majorly into writings, but his writings covered a huge span of subjects, which included physics, biology, zoology, metaphysics, aesthetics, poetry, theatre, music, linguistics, and politics. And you can see there's a variety right there. Our Indian president, who's no more, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, he was the 11th president, and internationally known for his work in aerospace. He was a scientist, a professor, an author, and little known to many. He was a very good veena player. That's an Indian musical instrument, something like a sitar. And of course, a statesman. Now, you could also have something called area or domain-specific multipotentialites, which means one area, but you explore within the area multiple things. For example, the singer, Kishore Kumar, and my Indian friends here will immediately connect because they're aware. He was an Indian film playback singer, but he also was an actor, lyricist, composer, producer, director, and screenwriter. So within the creative field, he explored a plethora of options. And then we have our dear Miss Priyanka Chopra, who I think probably even my American friends will connect with. You'll see her in Quantico, right? An Indian actress, singer, film producer, philanthropist, and of course Miss World 2000. Okay. So now, are we ready to take the quiz? Do you want to know whether you're a multipotentialite? Okay, so what I'm going to do is request if you have a scratch pad with you or something like that. There are 14 questions. This quiz has been created by Emily Watnick, who has done a lot of work in this area. So what I would want you to do is, the 14 questions, you just got to write question 1 and put, it's like an MCQ. You understand what an MCQ is? Multiple choice questions, right? So just write question number 1, MCQ, you can just choose option 1, 2, 3. Just mark it because when we do the scorecard, then it will help you to understand it better. Alright? So if everybody's got their papers, then I'll start. Alright. And for the benefit of the fact that we can all move together at the same pace, I shall read it aloud. Is that okay with all of you?
Yes.
Now, a little cue here. Don't think too much when you're answering. Okay? We'll get confused. And you might land up taking yourself out of the list of multipotentialism. So we'll not do that. Go with your first reaction. Okay? However, do not immediately when I read the first option you say, that's it, that's what I am. Wait for all the options to be read, for heaven's sake. Okay? So we're just going to, I'll read past the entire list and then maybe in 5 seconds or something, if it's not too less, try and make your answer. Alright?
Do you have the same number of options in each question?
Only 2 questions have 1 more, but that's okay. The scorecard is commensurate to the same. Alright, so let's start. Oh, I'm dying to know who else is a multipotentialite. I have a gut feeling everyone is. Alright, so let's start. Okay. Let's start with the first question. You love connecting with and relating to all kinds of different people. Option 1, yes, that's totally me. 2, nope, if I'm out of my element, I don't know what to do with myself. Option 3, relating might not be my strong suit, but I'm always curious about other people. Please mark.
What do you write?
You just write question 1 on your sheet and put a dash, and whatever is your option, 1, 2 or 3, just write it in front of that. Done?
Yep.
I love you guys. You don't know in 5 seconds. You were done in 2 seconds. Alright, next one. Question 2. Throughout your life, you've been interested in both logical scientific and artistic intuitive fields. Option 1, true. Pretty much everything interests me. Option 2, false. I'm a right brain artist type all the way. Option 3, false. If it's not logical, I don't get it. Okay. Question 3. You lose interest in something once you have got a good grasp on it. Option 1, yeah. By the time I get to the point where I know something inside and out, it's only a matter of time before I feel bored. Option 2, not necessarily. When I don't feel challenged, I branch out into another related area and continue to learn. Option 3, no. Some things are so fascinating to me that I could study and practice them forever. Alright, move on. Next. Please mark your question number. Don't miss that out. Okay. You would have or did have a really hard time choosing a major or speciality in school. Option 1, yes, worst decision ever. 2, no, I like to pick something and stick with it. Option 3, I went to an awesome school where I was encouraged to choose multiple focuses and or take classes in several disciplines. It was pretty much the greatest. Done? Alright, question 5. How many different projects do you work on over the course of an average week? Now we're just talking of averages here, okay? Option 1, 1 or 2. Option 2, between 3 and 5. Option 3, 6 or more. Yeah? Question 6. How many subjects do you think about over the course of a week? And when we're saying think about, it could be even dabbling in or researching or having impassioned discussions about. Option 1, 1 or 2. Option 2, between 3 and 5. And option 3 is 6 or more. Darling, you've come a little late.
Yeah, I'm already on number 7.
If it's okay with everyone, I'll go back. 7. You started with 7, is it?
5.
You started with 5. Okay. So,
You finished 7 and then go back.
Yeah, I'll finish the 14 of them and then go back to you. That's okay with everyone? I love you. I can't ignore you. Okay, so question 7. If you hadn't seen someone for 5 years, would they be able to guess what you're up to now? Option 1. Yeah, I've been on a pretty straight path over the past few years. Option 2. No way. 5 years ago is like 5 lives ago. Option 3. Maybe. I'm doing something kind of related to what I was doing 5 years ago. But it's pretty different, so I bet they'd still be surprised. Move on. Question 8. How many books are on your nightstand right now? Okay. Option 1, 1 or 2. Option 2, between 3 and 5. Option 3, 6 or more.
How many genres? Would you also add that?
Anything, whatever is there at your nightstand, right? Okay. Question 9. When someone asks, so what do you do? What goes through your mind? Option 1, oh man, where do I even start? Option 2, I know this person is effectively asking me what I do for a living, but my job title doesn't really reflect the full extent of who I am or what I'm into. Option 3, nothing much. I'm comfortable answering the question because I have a job title that more or less fits. Question 10. Check out your browser. Presume you're in front of your system, alright? How many tabs are open right now? Option 1, between 1 and 5. This is on an average, okay? Option 2, 6 to 10. Option 3, 11 to 15. Option 4, 16 or more. Okay. Question 11. You throw a hypothetical magic party and all of your closest friends from throughout your whole life are there. What's the crowd like? Question 1. A motley group of people, many of whom are vastly different from each other. 2. My usual buddies, everyone pretty much gets each other. Option 3, I'm not sure how to describe it, but afterwards, everyone keeps telling me how interesting my friends are, in short. And option 4, people are a little different from one another, but not so much that anyone really comments on it. Shall I move on? Okay. Question 12. Have you ever felt a growing sense of guilt and worry that you've fallen out of love with your main pursuit? You know, when the thing you used to love that you built your life and identity around is no longer doing it for you. Option 1, yes, so many times. Option 2, I've felt this way a handful of times. And option 3, I have no idea what you're talking about. Next one. Okay. Do you get obsessively interested in new subjects? Okay. Option 1, yes, this happens to me frequently. Option 2, sometimes. And option 3, no, I'm on a pretty even keel in general. And your last question. Someone asks you to do something you've never done before, but you are curious about. How do you feel? First one, sign me up, I want to do all the things. Option 2, that sounds like fun, but let me see what else I've got on my plate right now. I only like working on a handful of projects at any given time. Option 3, no thanks, it sounds cool, but I'm just too busy with the main thing I'm working on right now. Are we done? We'll go back for the ones who came in late. If you can quickly do your... This time is it okay if I don't read it aloud? And you can quickly just read it and... Okay, fine. So...
You're going to come back, right, again? No.
Don't rethink. Just follow your heart. Oh, you missed it out, is it? Ah, okay. So I'm going back and okay.
Okay.
This is the one. So, is there anyone who needs it right from question 1? Okay.
We are sorry, you please don't waste your precious time.
My time is yours, darling. So it's okay. The only thing I'd urge you to do is probably be a little quick. Okay, here we are, all the newcomers who came in late. Anyone who wants to quickly take the quiz? Yeah. So just tell me, I'll quickly move to the slides then. And thank you everyone else for bearing with this. Okay, next one. Done? we done? So did you like the quiz, by the way? Interesting, isn't it? Always interesting, especially when you know there's something waiting. Okay. What is the last number I need to go on to?
6 and 7.
6 and 7? Oh. No, I don't know. I'm asking you because I saw.
Please, till 10 if you can. I'm
Till 14? No. Edith?
She's being naughty.
You're being very naughty.
Mind that me.
Oh, yeah. I forget that I'm injured. I keep forgetting I have to do, and that's why probably I put the bandage on it. Reminds me, hey, some things are there. Yeah, down there. Okay. Shall I?
Yes.
Wait. And guess what? I'm going to be a sadist very soon. I'll just tell you.
This makes me very uncomfortable. Tricky, not very tricky. I was and the browsers on the number of browsers my computer in the morning I was trying it on so just then all down and force shut.
It's okay.
Thank you so much.
We already.
Oh, you reached here? Everyone? Okay, so I will just move. And now it's sadism time. We shall be back. Yes. See the results.
Oh, this sounds like a break in the program.
Break in the program. Okay, Kahani mein twist. Better way. Sorry, for my foreign friends, Kahani mein twist. Who wants to translate that? There's a little change in the storyline now.
Twist in the tail.
So what we're going to do now is understand something more about multipotentialism and multipotentialites, and then we come back to the results and activities and all of that. Okay?
This is your way of keeping the crowd here.
Yes. You dare not go. Thank you. Okay, so now let's just look at broadly the general traits of a multipotentialite. Okay. As per Professor Roger Sperry, he says there's a higher probability of both sides of the brain being nurtured. Okay? As we all know, the left side, and I always remember, left side, L, logic. Okay? That's an easy way to remember. So the left side of your brain is logic, words, numbers, lines, lists, analysis, all of that part. And the right side are your emotions, pictures, colors, rhythm, shapes, imagination. If you're a multipotentialite, there is a very strong probability that both sides of your brain are equally being nurtured, which is healthy. They have many parts. When I say they, are talking about multipotentialites. Okay, they have many parts, and they pursue all of them. But sometimes sequentially, or sometimes simultaneously, or the third category where they do both. Okay, so it's not that if you're a multipotentialite, people confuse this with multitasking. Please, multitasking is something entirely different. It's got nothing to do with multipotentiality. Okay, so here is when you can do different things, different skills, and develop your level of expertise in those varied skills. Sometimes doing them parallelly, and I know for one because I've done my own test and I am a simultaneous multipotentialite. So I take on 20 things in one shot. And I'm happy that way. I feel very charged. And I often tell myself saying, I work best under pressure. I tell myself that because it's for me, it's like food. It nurtures me, it just excites me when I have so much to do. But not every multipotentialite is like that. They would probably do something for some time and then move into the next and the next, which are completely contrasting. Okay, so regardless, you're still a multipotentialite. It's just the type is different. Multipotentialites thrive on learning, exploring, experimenting, and mastering new skills. Okay, that is the core root. Your interest drives you to do all of this, and you don't even realize, probably, that you're stepping into something new. The other day, I was on one of the chat groups, I think it was the Kerala or the Bangalore all group, and we were all introducing ourselves. Oh, sorry, it was a new group, something to do with arts.
Startup sport or a
performing arts, performing arts. And I was included in that, so I didn't want to break everything in one shot, so I said, okay, everybody's talking about dance, so let me just say I also dance, right? So classical dance, blah, 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 and finishes. And then suddenly one day, somebody started sharing paintings. I'm like, these are lovely paintings. So I complimented and I was like, okay. So people said, why don't we share what we've done? So I took a few pictures of the paintings I've done and I put it up. And then somebody said, hey, you're a dancer, you're also a painter, you're this, you're that. So I was like, okay, I'm sorry I said that. But the fact of the matter is, you could be in very, very divergent streams. And the fact of the matter also is that you want to learn more. Somebody just has to say, does this interest you? A typical multipotentialite will say, of course it does. It sounds wonderful. Like the other day, I met this master colorist. I don't know, some of you may have met her. And I said, master colorist. I know what a master colorist is, but I was like, tell me something. And I'm really intrigued. How do you do this? And I took off. And she was like, you interested? You know a lot about hair? I said, I don't know, but I want to know more. I know a little bit, but I want to know more. So somebody just has to say something which is new to my ears. And there I go. Why I'm using myself again, the pompous me? Because we don't know how many amongst you are already multipotentialites. But probably, I think, silently the connection has started. You're probably saying, what she says, we relate to that. Right? There we are. Okay. Multipotentialites are excellent at bringing disparate ideas together in creative ways. Disparate meaning dissimilar. Okay? They can connect something from something else, which probably one would not dream of. That how can this be made into a solution? In the bargain, this makes them incredible innovators and problem solvers. Okay, so you have a huge advantage because of that. When it comes to new interests that emerge, their insatiable curiosity leads them to absorb everything they can get their hands on. As a result, they pick up new skills fast and tend to be a wealth of information. They have high adaptability and fit very well in leadership roles, because we all believe that in leadership roles you strategize a lot, right? And at a strategic level, you need to have a very wide perspective. And if you have a wide perspective, you pretty much have probably delved into multiple areas in your mind or in life or whatever it is, right? So, yeah, they fit very well in leadership roles. They are highly enthusiastic and love variety. I think that goes without saying. As I mentioned earlier, they have a wide perspective, and that's why they also make good collaborators. Great, even in conflict management. They can be the person who arbitrates very well, because he is watching as a fly on the wall, this is a terminology we use in NLP. Fly on the wall, wherein you imagine yourself to be a housefly, sitting on a wall and watching the scenario. So you've stepped out of your own shoes, and you are watching a scenario, maybe an argument or a fight or something, and then in that perspective, you view it objectively. So that has a huge advantage if you're a multipotentialite, because objectivity comes naturally. Now, I want all of you, I want to mentally prepare you. If by any chance you do not fit in the supposed score of being a multipotentialite, please don't say, I didn't make it. It's absolutely fine, because guess what? The good news is, if you're not a multipotentialite, you are a specialist. See, I love everyone. I'm not going to let you feel, oh my God, I attended the session, I didn't even turn out to be a multipotentialite, right? So you are a specialist. And the best part is, specialists bring depth into a matter, and multipotentialites bring breadth into a matter. So regardless, you guys rock. Right? Okay, so let's move on now, and now let's see the challenges. Okay. Let's see the challenges that you face or the probable challenges you may face as a multipotentialite. Okay. The broad range of opportunities available sometimes, tends to increase the complexity of decision making and goal setting, and it may actually even sometimes delay your career selection. It happened with me. I mean, it's amazing. Till grade 8, I wanted to be a geologist. I never thought of doing any of those things you saw on the pompous slide. And so much so that I finished college, and I was a topper, as we saw, an academic topper, so on scholarship. I got to doing my master's in geology. But then something very interesting happened in my life. One fine day, and this was in my last semester before I passed out, I was sitting in my class, and my professor was giving a talk, and all of a sudden I had this hallucination. I saw aircraft doing spins and stalls on his head. Aerobatics, okay? And I was like, wow, I couldn't focus. I just kept imagining those aircraft doing all kinds of things right over his head. I came back, I shared it with my father, who also was a pilot. And I told him, I said, Dad, something very strange happened today. And I saw this strange hallucination. And he just told me one thing, he said, kiddo, you're in the wrong line. That's all. I thought about it the whole evening. Next day onwards, that was my goodbye to my master's in geology. I packed my bags and I moved to Delhi Flying Club to start my aviation, to be a pilot. So sometimes, and that's what I'm saying, it's as late as, I'm doing masters in something, and then I say, okay, and I don't have any regrets actually that I didn't get the certificate of, 6 months more, I would have got probably another master's. I have 4 masters, I would have had 5. Doesn't matter. Never gone with numbers, never gone with certifications and stamps. It's just whatever drives me from here. I just do that, as simple as that. So sometimes, by having too much on your platter, you could delay your decision making and add to some more confusion in your life. Because multipotentialites really have no one true calling. So, like the specialists do. So again, all the specialists, 2B specialists in case any, feel good about it. In their zeal, multipotentialites may lose out on the benefits of specialization. See, today there are certain areas professionally where you're looking at people who are only stuck with one line. So that may act as a disadvantage to you. See how I'm preparing you guys. Okay. Okay. There could also be distraction and chances of burnout, especially if you're a simultaneous multipotentialite, where you take in too much, you go sizzle, 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 sizzle. Maybe something like this guy. He came in for a Xerox probably. He's landed up sleeping there. Okay. It could also lead to overscheduling, high stress, confusion, impulsive choices, and sometimes to feelings of social alienation in the brightest of adults. Sometimes what happens is, and this is normal human behavior, apart from the stress levels that you take because you're doing so much, probably bodily you can't handle that. But because your interest is so high, so you end up taking so much. But at the end of the day, when you do too much, the world sometimes looks at you with a different lens. And you get a little alienated because they say, oh, okay, she's different, she's just... Or sometimes they're intimidated by you because you've done too much. So there is a possibility of being a little socially alienated, okay? And that's with the brighter ones. Another thing that may set in is boredom. So boredom is also a frequent occurrence in multipotentialites who have already mastered or learned everything they desire to know about a particular topic before moving on. So you will feel like, oh, I'm stuck, like that little one there. There is an ocean, but this poor thing is stuck in a bulb. Anyway, but there would be this feeling because you mastered it. Now, what next is the question, typically, that will follow in your mind. They may also encounter opposition from career counselors, parents and friends who wish for them to choose conventional specialized career paths. Very often, in fact, I think in India it's very prevalent. I can't comment about the other countries. But here, normally speaking, at least the traditional mindset says that you pick up a career, you're getting out of college, so you make up your mind what you want to do, and it's typically one path you follow. So the moment a child comes up and says, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I also want to do this, the parents invariably say, hey, hold on. Choose one thing, you have your life to do the other things. That's a very typical statement. I'm a parent myself. Thank goodness I didn't make that statement. And I had, with what face would I go to my daughter saying, you choose one, when I have like 20 different things I've done. So in any case, I think this is another challenge because we need to, as mothers, if you have kids who are growing and yet in the position, they are in that juxtaposition of choosing their career in life, then I think it's only fair as mothers to understand that your child may just be a multipotentialite. Don't push that kid only into one thing because probably he or she is talented or multi-talented and wants to explore. So in fact, guide them as to how to do it. Even if it's not simultaneous, but one after the other, but don't discourage them from doing that. Okay, so now, I want to ask you a question. Shall we first do a couple of activities and then go to the scorecard? After which, of course, I'll hand over. I don't know who's the other panelist. Okay, yeah, so do we want to do some activities first?
Okay.
And these activities are going to help you enhance and sustain your multipotentiality. So what I'm going to do is divide you into 2 teams. Maybe I take the aisle. My friend who's handling the camera from his left and his right. Okay? So, I'm sorry? Alright, so what we're going to do is, let me give you 1 second. I have to demonstrate this, so let me I'm giving you a victory jig, okay? Both the teams, choose whichever you want, of course. When I finish with an activity, one team will do a certain victory jig of having completed the task, the second one gets something else. So one has a laughter one has a clapping one. So you want to choose who wants laughter, who wants clapping? Laughter. Okay. So this team, give it a name. I'd say like this team, that team sounds very weird. You want to call yourself something?
The victory team.
No. This is a victory jig. Victory team. No. You can't declare yourself winners before that.
We have the victorious team. Giggles. The giggles.
Giggles. Okay, giggles team. And you guys are doing the clapping thing.
Yes.
Clapping team. Okay, giggles team and clapping team. Okay, so you guys, please rise. And let's do this jig once so that you rehearse it out. You got to do it together. It has to be orchestrated. Alright? So what you have to do is this. Now, you're going to be doing ha ha, he he, ho ho, he he in the same order. Okay? Loud, with a big smile, whatever you want to do, you want to hold your stomach and laugh, that's your call. Okay? But you have to say ha ha, he he, ho ho, eh eh, jig jig jig.
Alright. Yes, guys.
You want to do it one more time or it's okay? Alright. So, now this team, please rise. To the left. Twice high, 3 times low. Once to the right, twice on top, 3 times low. And you have to say hey every time you clap, alright? And then end it with a Michael Jackson style pose, alright? So let's do this, right? And the pace will be 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That pace, alright? So you're going to say hey, hey along, alright? Hey, 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 woo! Okay? So let's do it again.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Hey, 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 hey. Woo! So that's your victory jig, alright? So now when we complete the task, you will each do your victory jigs. Whoever completes first gets to do the victory jig first. Okay? Alright, so let's now do the activities. The first thing, yeah. But as a warm-up, what we're going to do, that's my aircraft.
Just parks it in the garage.
Yeah. Okay, so okay, we want that shut because this noise that keeps coming in and out. Okay, so we're going to listen to a song, and I want you to just listen to it, and then I'll tell you what to do. All right? I'll take my mic right next to that so that you can listen to it carefully. Okay, probably the Indian audience would have already heard this song, but regardless. Listen to it. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Coming from
was an IT. Yeah. That was back.
It's okay. Yeah, did everyone hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, just leave it there. Okay, so this is a song by an Indian gentleman. I want you to listen to it one more time now, this time short, because I think it was like kind of distracting. Yes. So hear it one more time now, but I'll shorten the clipping. Listen carefully. Try not to sing along right now. Listen.
Stop. Heard it? Right. I want to know how many of you firstly went beyond the vocals? How many of you could identify the instruments? Just raise your hands. Okay, one. Can you tell me some of the instruments you spotted?
I heard a guitar, I heard, was it a sitar also? It was both things. I heard, I heard a cymbal.
Cymbal, yes.
I heard, I hear drums too.
Yeah. Okay.
Harmonium.
Synthesizer, the keyboard.
There's a wooden flute. Wooden flute.
Flute and keyboard.
It's an electronic flute that's playing, yeah. Okay.
I think in those days there were no synthesizers.
No, this is just
No, it has come.
It has come.
Now,
It had come. Okay.
anything else? Okay, so what we're talking about is a technique which is called peripheral audio, okay, which you can help to cultivate when you try and go beyond just plain vocals, okay. So that means going beyond just a plain hearing system where you go to the next level, okay. So now I'll play the same song again. I want you to identify, there are gaps. Vochali, na 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 na. There are gaps, right? In the percussion and in the vocals. I want you to count how many gaps you've identified. Okay? And whichever team finishes first, the moment I stop, come up with the answer quickly. You get up, do your victory tick, alright? So we're starting right now. Ready? All gaps in the percussion and the vocals together.
स्टॉप करो मैं चलाता हूँ
Yeah, which team gives me the answer first? 16.
16.
What did you guys get?
16.
Oh, you also got 16.
21.
Hey, within your own team you've got different answers.
I got 21.
21.
33.
22. 32. She's getting close. She's the closest. Okay.
Okay, so get up, do your victory jig, yeah? This team, 34. Okay, great. So you were very close. Okay, we'll do one more activity, and then I'll take you to the scorecard. All right. Now this one is it's called I call it lovingly. All my games I like to kind of give them names. Okay, so I call it string of words creation. Okay. What I'm going to be doing is no, actually first let me give you. This is even more interesting. Let me talk about the memory element. Okay, so we're going to be looking at that part. So this is going to enhance your memory also. I'm going to be saying aloud 12 words. Okay, what you have to do is reproduce without writing it down, please. Nobody writing. If you have to be honest, she picked up the pen straight on. So you need to be. This is memory, so hands free completely. In the same order, I need you to reproduce the words. Okay? Ready? So I'm starting on the words. Wall, glass, window, and, if.
I'm sorry.
I'm starting again. We will not interrupt because the exercise goes for a toss. Okay? You have to be attentive here. Wall, glass, window, and, if, the, Muhammad Ali, cat, fire, elephant, road. Okay? How many of you have been able to remember the entire stretch of 12 strings? 12 words. You want to try? Okay, yeah, go on in the same order.
Wall, glass, and window. Wall, glass, window.
No. At the moment you break the thing, yeah.
Wall, glass, window, and sorry, if the Muhammad Ali,
I just want
the
yeah,
Muhammad, and then cat, and then fire, and then elephant, then road.
You've had some help that's gone along. So that's a little bit of cheating there. It's supposed to be one person, but well done.
Yes.
I think we need to share something. Okay, so normally what happens is, and I need to share this with you, is that when you're given a string of words, and this is an exercise you all guys must try out time and again, okay? Pick up disconnected words, pick up disjointed ideas and bring them together. The first few things normally that human mind remembers, which is also called privacy effect, is very normal. And normally a human mind picks up at least 7 words at a stretch. Plus minus 2. That's a normal human mind. But I think she's a multipotentialite. She did almost, I'll say over 10, because okay, there was a little bit of guidance here and there. Somebody added the and stuff like that, right? So it's a very good thing to be able to practice this thing. Another thing is also the recency effect. When you have the last few words being recapped, that's because it's so recent in your brain. So it's a very typical thing to either have privacy effect or recency effect. And if you're a true multipotentialite, you would probably land up having many more words coming your way. But even if you haven't, that's okay because you can cultivate it. See, this exercise is more to kind of sustain and grow your thing. So one more time, I guess this team does the jig because...
She remembers everything. That's okay.
So we will let them do the jig.
Okay, yeah, okay guys. Or let's, yeah, okay fine. Let's do the jig this time, the clap one. Come. We remember? Come on, everyone. Right. Hey, 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 hey. Nice. All right. So now let's see your scores. We don't have time for more activities. I had 7 of them lined up, but I was told that we have a panelist, so I'll stop here and we will just go straight to the scores now. Okay. This is where I left you. Right? This is where I left you. So sadism comes to an end, and optimism comes in. Here we are. Oh, sorry. That was, no. That, I think I opened up the wrong one. So I'll take you to the other one. And just a sec. Yeah. Here is your scorecard. So now, what you need to just do is, if you've chosen any of these options, right? What you have to do is just total them out. Figure it out, and the scorecard is right here. So I'll give you a few minutes to check out.
Mixed style.
Lovely.
Mine is also
Wonderful.
26 sequential. Men would be more special.
I like to believe that.
They can't do anything. They can't do anything 2 times. Something at one time.
Are we done? Okay. So, if everyone's done and you've kind of also seen, I've already told you about the simultaneous and sequential and the in-between, which is the mixed style. So, firstly, congratulations to all of you.
You go back. Sorry.
We haven't finished? I thought I asked you.
Multipotential is simultaneous.
I'm sorry?
Simultaneous is multipotential.
No. There are 2 types, I said. Both are multipotentialites. The way of operating could be simultaneous or sequential. So you could, maybe you're the kind who likes to do everything together, or you're the kind who likes to do multiple things but one after the other. So that's the difference. Okay, that table keeps taking me back on slides. I don't like you guys. You make me lose the fervor of what I want to say next. Okay, can I move on now? And congratulate one more time. Okay, so just before I go, there are 3 slides which expands a little bit on each of these. So I'm sure you'd be interested in knowing. Okay, so as you can see, I told you all about this already. So there is a spectrum, and you have at one end the simultaneous multipotentialite, who's also a plate spinner. The person with 20 different projects, not really 20, just a way of saying it, at one time, and the other one, of course, who dives deep into a subject for a longer period of time and then switches to something else, which is entirely new. And most of us, in fact, happen to be mixed styles. Yeah, and that's good because that keeps a good balance also. Alright, but just for your information, so let's start with the simultaneous one. Multipotentialites who favor the simultaneous style are at their best when they have simultaneous projects and passions in their lives. Basically, they are an octopus, okay, because they have each arm working on something different. They are energized when they frequently switch between their diverse range of topics and projects. They have their fingers in several projects at any point in life, and they have many different skills and love to go between their skill sets. The next one is the mixed style. Some multipotentialites just like to mix up the way they work. These mixed style multipotentialites are not totally into simultaneous, that means we have understood already, or sequential. They are the happiest when they have a few different projects on their plate at a given time. They love variety, but they get overwhelmed when they have too much. Sometimes they go through periods where they are juggling a bunch of different projects and periods where they are deeply invested in a single thing. And lastly, the sequential. A multipotentialite who operates in the sequential style moves through their interests in sequence. Think of them as a phoenix. It sometimes seems as if they've burnt one life down to start another. In a good way, of course. Sequential multipotentialites live their passions one after the other, after going sometimes even years between their switches. They are no less multipotentialites than their plate-spinning brothers and sisters, just as curious and adaptable. They like to spend a good amount of time achieving some depth in a given area before leaving it behind for something new. And sometimes they get confused for also being specialists, because people say, oh no, this one has just been sticking around in this line, so he's pretty much a specialist, is not a multipotentialite. But that may not be the case, because if you have been into, let's say, IT, doing software engineering, and on the other hand, after about, let's say, 2 years, 3 years, it's bored you completely, and now you say, okay, now I think it's time that I go and join a band, a rock band. And so now you're strumming the guitar there. So, and you actually go around doing concerts, you're pretty much a multipotentialite. You're not a specialist there, okay? So, that's what it is all about. And guys, you've been a fantastic audience. And again, heartiest congratulations. Join the clan. Now you guys know that you are all multipotentialites. So thank you so much. And I think I want to go with Sarah.
Thanks, Kuiljeit. You know, sometimes I wonder if when we are kids, we think we have a lot of time. You know, we have a lot of time to do whatever we want to. And then as we grow older, we suddenly realize we don't have enough time perhaps. And then we start doing a lot of things until maybe become multipotentialites. I will now. Kuiljeit can of course answer that later once we are done with Nusrat Shah. She's going to talk about how every woman and every person is probably a multipotentialite in his or her own way. I welcome you.
Good afternoon, friends. It's been a pleasure and honor to be here and share the platform with you all beautiful ladies. As my friend Kuiljeit has already said so much about being a potentialites, so here I want to tell you, we all are a potentialites in our own way. And I want to thank the organizers of this event to make it happen possible for us to share the different thoughts, events, ideas, and the experiences. Indeed, it's incredible and commendable. It's always important to have a goal in life and never give up on that, no matter what. Every woman is unique, special, and different in her own skin. We all play different roles. Here comes the role of potentialites, be that a mother, a daughter, or a sister, or even a wife. They all roles are challenging. What's being seen is not an issue. What's unseen is issue. I think women are foolish to pretend that they are equal to men. They are far superior and always have been. Whatever you give a woman, she will make it greater. If you give her a sperm, she will give you a baby. If you give her a house, she will give you a home. If you give her a grocery, she will give you a meal. If you give her a smile, she will give you her heart. She multiplies and enlarges whatever being given to her. Always give respect to people, whether they deserve it or not. Not as a reflection of their character, but as a reflection of your own personality. Don't worry about those who talk behind your back. They are behind you for a reason. A stone is broken by the last strike of a hammer. This doesn't mean that the first stroke is useless. Success is the result of continuous efforts. I will tell you only one thing here. If you believe in yourself, you do the right. But people will still criticize you, hurt you, harm you, and even shout at you. But you don't bother. Just remember, that is in every game, only the audience makes noise, not a player. So be your player, do always your right, and believe in yourself. Success will follow. I, as a woman, cannot deny that women and that men are not important in her life. In fact, woman is incomplete without a man. Undoubtedly, women are soft, kind, tender, as compared to a man. That's the reason it's the woman who showed love, caring, and sharing to a man. It's not easy for a woman to manage all the things single-handedly. I would like to share here a story of mine. I was raised in a family where we were 4 sisters and a brother. And our father unfortunately left us at a very young age. And my mother was just left alone when she was just 33 years of age. It was so difficult for her, while she has no other resources or means of income, to raise such a big family. I tell you how difficult it was for her to look after our education, to look after our needs and day-to-day chores. But still she managed. At that time, women also have been very courageous, and she never stopped her duties. But she completely forgot about herself and worked hard to build our future. I could see her suffering at times when things were not falling at place. But she still did not stop there. So what I want to tell you here, that in every step we have to work hard. We never have to sit down and think that this is not happening and that's not happening. This is life and this has to go on. That's why last word I have to say to you. Excuse me for that. Okay. Lastly, excellence comes when the performer takes pride in doing his best. Every job is self-portrait of a person, whatever he does. Thank you very much for listening to me, and you have been a wonderful people.
Thank you so much. You know, I was listening to her give a woman grocery, she gives you a meal, and so on a lighter note, give me a mic and I'll give you a speech. But don't worry, I will not give you any speeches. But if you have any questions for either of them, please, you're welcome to ask them now. You want to comment on my comment about when your kids, you think you're out of time.
Now, I don't want to go away from the topic, so
right.
I don't want to
please, thank you so much, and everybody, please come over for a group photo. Oh, there is.
Oh, you
sorry,
have a question.
I'm sorry.
Actually, mine is a comment. It's quite eye-opening, this multi-potentialite. I must confess, at my level, a chartered accountant, a trader, all. Sometimes I used to wonder, my children ask me, Mommy, who are you? Because today you are this, the next day you are this, the following. I too got confused. I sometimes go to ask myself, who are you? Can't you focus on one thing? But now you encourage me that there is nothing wrong with me.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Pleasure.
If I didn't get anything by coming to India, it answers one of my questions.
She has a question.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
All right. Just to compliment. Can you come forward? The mic will come to the
Okay, good.
Thank you both for your wonderful presentations. I have a question to Kuiljeit.
Yes.
Well, as he said, sometimes the establishment doesn't recognize us as being specialists. So that way we are facing problems in life, not being taken serious for what we really do and what we are and what we can do, which means that within the normal range of, let's say, multinationals or whatsoever, they say, how can you do this and that and this and that? And we don't take you seriously in your specialty, whereas we do have it. So how do you cope with that?
Okay. Now there are two perspectives here. One is what you just shared. Okay. I'm loud enough. Keep going down. Okay. I'd prefer to stand if it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's that energy. I can't help it. Yeah. Okay. So I completely connect with what you're saying because I've gone through it myself. With people asking me that, okay, you know what, you need to kind of calm down a little and focus on this and focus on that, etc., etc. While they say that, but it's only a matter of time, because I'll tell you something, when you're a multipotentialite, you also have expertise level, it's not only interest, right? So the fact is, if you have a task A and a B and a C that you're doing, and you haven't compromised on the final result, the final outcome, that same person who probably is going to be in the past, who has been telling you that, focus, focus, focus,
is not going to have any reason to complain. And that's what I realized from my own personal experience. Because if you are giving it your best, which typically you would, inherently you would, so you will find that not just one, but you're doing multiple tasks, he actually lands up being happier. I'll tell you a very small example. When I was my last corporate job was as global head of Aptic Limited, which was a company, it's an MNC, and I was handling one entire subsidiary. They have 7 subsidiaries. And I remember my boss, initially when I took on, I was given one role. And I kept doing that. And I think somewhere down, 6 or 7 months down the line, a typical multipotentialite that I am, I had lost interest. Because I was like, okay, I've mastered this, what next? So much so that I went up to her and I told her, you know what? You're not using my full potential. I'm telling you I have more to offer, but you're not utilizing me. She couldn't see that. It just didn't kind of make sense to her that, you know, somebody was handling sales, I was handling the entire South India sales. And she said, no, but you're doing a fine job, you know. So I said, I know I'm doing a fine job, thank you so much, but I really need more. I'm not having enough to do. And she said, okay, what do you want to do? I said, give me content development. Now that is completely contrasting. Here we're talking of creation, of learning and development things, WBTs, CBTs and all of that, right? And she said, but that's a different area altogether. I said, try me out. She ignored it. 3 months down the line, I went back with my second reminder. And I said, you know what, Preeti, if this is not happening, I'm resigning, I'm quitting. That's when it hit her and she said, you're serious? I said, I'm damn serious. Don't even take me lightly because I am beginning to feel I'm not being utilized, and that for me, I come every day to work, okay, I'm getting all your sales figures, I'm meeting, like I'm getting 120% over your targets, but it's not enough for me. And when I spoke to her, and then finally she said, okay, if you know you're going to resign and all, certainly I don't want you quitting. So fine, you do one thing, you do a little bit, see how it's working for you, blah blah blah, and very typical talk, very typical, right? So she wasn't sure whether, you know, I will be able to handle it, and it was just a matter of time that I was handling the entire sales and entire content development for the entire globe. And then the next thing that came was, I said, okay, when I had finished with all my creation of books that I needed to do, I was like, okay, so why don't we do something about the training element now? Academics, hardcore trainers. And she was like, not again. So I was like, I've done what I had to. I've laid all the systems. You've got 400 books I've created. So, and she was like, but by now, she had built a faith system. She knew she could trust me. So she said, okay, fine, you're on. You do India first. If it's going okay and you can handle 2 portfolios plus a third one, you go ahead and take on the globe. So, and that was a matter of time. Another 3 months and there she was like, okay, go global now. And so I was handling multiple portfolios. So I'm just telling you my own experience. It's a matter of time. Sometimes we need to go forward and explain that, you know, I'm different. Try me out. I can do justice to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tasks. How many?
At a time, you cannot do all the things together. As you said, multipotentialite person is doing all things. No, once you finish one, then only you can go to
You spoke like a typical sequential multipotentialite. That is exactly what a sequential multipotentialite does. You cannot do everything in one shot is the attitude of that kind of a person. Who will say, I will do the stuff, but I will... No, one second.
At a time.
I'm explaining. It's not arguing who's better or not.
No,
okay? Because both are multipotentialites, the systems of operation vary from person to person.
True.
So, the moment you've come up with that input, clearly determines that you are the sequential type. I, for example, am a simultaneous person. When it comes to,
I'll just put more light on that. What I exactly wanted to know. You carry on the night.
Yeah, no, I just kind of explained what we just said.
Like as you said, that you were doing something for 3 months, right? You did it for 3 months. Then another 3 months you want to do something else.
So she
I did something more.
She added it.
It was only adding on.
Something more.
Adding on. I didn't give up on the previous one. They were still carrying on.
In 3 months, she understood, she mastered whatever she had to.
And moved
she added that
with
on
one more additional role.
But it took 3 months, my dear.
But 3 months was what my boss gave me. My boss gave me 3 months. I had finished probably earlier. But that, we're not here on a time parameter. What I'm just trying to say is, a person being able to utilize more. I was addressing her question, that if, you know, you're asked something like this, or, you know, how do we deal with this? Because sometimes People just want you to be kind of cordoned into one area. So that's why I quoted my example that she pretty much would have loved if I had stuck with sales only. But then, and believe me, after about I think 2 years of my work at as global head of academics, content development, and sales India, and all of that, I was awarded the CEO's award for excellence and quality. Excellence and quality, mind you. Why am I saying quality?
Because you got two together.
It was not number of roles. There was no compromise on the work. I achieved all of those at 100%, and that's what a true multipotentialite is able to do. All you have to do is be able to determine a path ahead and probably, intervene to some extent with your boss or anybody who puts a little question mark on your skills. You have another question?
Yes. Yes, because it affects me.
Okay, that's the last
Sometimes.
No, she had a question.
You have a question.
Take that too after hers. Take hers.
Anyone?
And then you can take this.
I'll take both.
Take both, but
simultaneously.
See, didn't I just determine what I'm made of?
Thank you very much. I won't take long, but it's not my question.
Yes,
it's just complimenting and making kind of solid harmony around our discussion around the issue of multipotential and specialist around. Very good presentation. It really started. Thank you very much. Basically, if we look to every woman over here who came to this Women Economic Forum, I found whatever way they are almost multipotential and either sequential or whatever, simultaneous roles they are playing. But this is maybe very extraordinary. But the thing is, basically, if we look to the I'm not taking the role of professionality, because as every woman does, we come up, we grow up with our profession. When you can manage one task, then the boss gives you another task. That happened to everyone. And gradually grow, and ultimately we leave the organizations. Now that's the story of everyone. But the thing is, I really want to go in a different dimension of the women who are like my mother kind of woman. I have found a lot of potential around them. They are a multi-potential woman too, but their potential has not been explored. I found my mother, believe me, in her older age, she used to be a matriculate. She couldn't continue her study because of the social conservatism. Her father offered her to marriage, and then she had a lot more children. She reared up, and every children are now very successful men and women across the globe, globally. But the thing is, I found at this age when my mother moved to America and she became a citizen because of my brothers worked there for a longer time, and they graduated from there. My mother still learns, how to do this language course. She goes for writing books. She is doing her kind of mushroom. She's also driving skill at her in this age. So that means that woman has got a lot more multi-potentiality and either sequential or simultaneous. Only when they get a kind of opportunity, then they can really explore that. Otherwise, many women with those kind of skill, they are not explored yet.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We will take one last question because we have to wind up for the next speaker.
And just to add to what you just said, only when they get an opportunity, my personal belief is you create opportunities. So sometimes it's a little limiting. Yes, of course it depends. That's why I said my personal. It's my own personal belief. Because I also had limiting factors. When I chose to be a pilot, there wasn't a single pilot. I happened to be one of the first few women pilots in the country. And I know the kind of retaliation the family faced. My parents had to face so much from everybody around saying, are you crazy? You want to invest in your kids? Because flying is a very expensive area. And we had our own share of struggles and fights. But sometimes you just say, no, I'm standing tall, I'm going ahead because I want to do it. And of course, it's very helpful if you have a support system. I had my father to help me out because he understood that this is probably something which is idle.
And also,
but in today's world, I'm going to be 50. So I belong to a generation which is probably passive in comparison. Today it's not like that. Today you have
because you're educated. So when I'm educated, I have so many opportunity of doors that I can find.
That's why I said in the traditional mode. In the traditional mode, I'm happy what your mother is doing. Kudos to her. Yes, please.
Mine is on focus. I've always criticized myself. When I look at myself and look at my peers, some just followed one line, but I diverse. I sometimes feel they did better than me because I was doing so many things at the same time. How does one maintain a high level of performance? They say jack of all trades, master of none. It's a contradicts this belief of multi-potentialites. So how can we reverse that saying that says jack of all trades?
Okay.
Master of, it should be master of all, not master of none.
Okay, so firstly, educate people a little bit more on multipotentialism. Yes. Most people are not even aware. And this quotation of jack of all trades, master of none, okay, I don't want to take that quotation too seriously because actually speaking, I mean, for that matter, I don't easily take quotations very seriously. There is another quotation that says, a rolling stone gathers no moss. Hello, this rolling stone has gathered a lot of moss. So I don't really, yeah, so for me, I kind of discredit somebody, some point in time wrote something as a quotation, so don't even think that quotation exists. Jack of all trades, master not applicable. Simple. So, we as multipotentialites have the ability to be able to, of our choice, choose whichever area we want to, excel. And like I said, because I've been termed by some scientists as a polymath, because I have developed expertise in some areas, more than 2 areas, for example. Right? So you could all be polymaths. And it's easily achievable, really. So I don't think you should contain yourself with any thought or any thought that pulls you backwards and says, no, because I do multiple things. I'll give you an example of just my sister itself, my own real sister, who is also a pilot, but she never moved out of that line, ever. While I was traversing industries and doing so many other things, she today is the executive director of Air India. She's grown and all of that, fine. But when we talk in an open forum, believe me, what she brings to the platter versus what I bring to the platter are 2 different things altogether. The perspective is altogether very, very different. Hers, she wears blinkers. There's like, the horses wear blinkers. So it's very projected. Everything is aviation, aviation, aviation. And in her own limited way, she brings something. So that disadvantage exists between the specialists. Like my sister is a specialist. I'm a multipotentialite. But when I come in, I talk of everything as a rounded individual there. So what you bring to the platter, my darling, is amazing. So you need to, and secondly, you said, how do I get better? I don't know how you define better. These are very relative words. So your definition of being better is something you need to create for yourself. Yeah. Probably you're better.
Setting the parameters.
Yeah, probably what? I think you're better, to be very honest.
We are the best.
Yeah. So I hope I've answered your question. Alright. Thank you. Let's have a group photograph.
Thank you all once again, and thank you, Kuiljeit. Let me go get the photographer for a group photograph.
Where is he gone?
We can gather in the meantime. Yeah, we can gather. Oh, he's here.
Can we please have a group photo?
Oh, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's take a group photo and then I'll give you my card.
Nobody was matching yours.
Oh, so sweet. I'm humbled. Thank you so much. Come, Eden. Let's take a group photograph.
Next to someone.
Please get everyone in and please take one photograph on my phone. Oh, thank you. Woo!
No.
Let's do the. No, but we'll be covering our hands. Okay, one normal one, and then. Okay. Thumbs up.
So do the thumbs up, all right?
Smile.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. And on this, please. Two mobiles. The big one. That's it. Follow the big one. Mine.
Mine also.
Yeah.
That was one of her.
Yes. My dear friend,